Cool. All right. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Remember,
morning.
cold, cold, cold. All right. Come on in, everyone. Here we go. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Here we go. You're all so timely. I like that. My other class people trickle in. I love it. And whenever I open it here, everyone's like ready to come in. So, good morning. How's everyone doing today?
Good. I didn't get your email. I had to go back through
Did anyone else
previously.
want their email?
And
I keep your old one, so I just did a
now I see
search.
launch meeting again. You see launch meeting again?
Let me check and see what's wrong. Huh.
Usually I get, the two.
Are you back on the screen for launch meeting? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can you guys, you're talking to each other, which is fine, but
All
just,
right, Diana.
no, just tell me.
Diana.
Deanna.
Deanna, I'm sorry, Deanna. I have to leave at 11 though. So, or a little bit before. I'm sorry, but I
Okay,
wanted
no
to-
problem. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about what you're saying that the scheduled
Oh,
and
never mind.
there's a Zoom link for today's Mac class at 6 a.m. 3 hours ago it went out. So can y'all check your rosters to see if you got it, to see if it's a personal issue, like maybe your stuff is being sent to,
For you.
or did I send it to the wrong class? Sometimes I do that.
I never have a problem with getting it, so
Yeah, I got it.
But if some of you are in both my
You.
classes, Mac level 1,
Yeah.
Yeah, hi.
Julie. Oh,
Yeah.
Julie, for some reason in my roster, just I must have done a return somewhere and I don't have your emails. How funny.
Oh,
I need to copy it from some other class that you've been in and bring them back. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Here, I'll open it, enter to the Mac. In the roster under your name, both your email, personal and are missing. I must have been in the middle of doing something else and then I must have hit there it is. It's back in there,
okay, thank you.
which means I've already programmed the Thursday one. So if per chance I don't remember to
Yeah.
reset up the Thursday one, but it's in there, so it'll keep in the future going.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks for telling me. That was strange. Okay. I'm glad everyone else got it. This time I made so sure because last time I made a couple of mistakes where the people were sent to the wrong time and stuff. So I was like, not again. I was so careful this time. All right. So welcome, welcome everyone back to class. I see some hands up. First of all, let me see who's here. I'm gonna make your names. Let me put Sue. I'm gonna put their name on your second computer. All right. Hi Julie. Hi Sue. Hi Denise. Hi Carol. Hi Michelle. Hi, Philip and Rodney. And who's down there? Linda and Patricia's connecting, so she can't hear me. Okay. All right. So let's see. Denise, is it still about access?
Yeah, so it might be easier to just talk. I don't want to take time. So it's just weird because I went to Ronnie's computer, I put his pipeline, I put my pipeline. I sign in, da 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 da. I went through everything,
Yeah.
the same
So
step
share your
on
screen.
each
Can you share your
computer.
screen for a minute? See if I can look at something. Basically, Denise was in my class before, and when she goes into the handouts, she's just getting the old stuff. She's not getting the new stuff, is what's happening. And so, and she's in the same room basically as Rodney, and he's got the new stuff. So can you share your screen and let me check? And meanwhile, I'm going to check on my folder to make sure that nothing's wrong. I mean, it's that when I share my handouts, they don't go to individual people. They go to the whole to the CRN. So if you're registered in the CRN, you get it kind of thing. Do you need me to walk you through sharing your screen?
No, but I am not at all on my screen I had to get there. So
Oh, got it.
right now, but so it's gonna take me a while to.
Okay, so then whenever you're ready, let me know. Okay. Meanwhile, Sue, yeah. You're muted. Sue, you're talking to me, but you're muted, so I can't.
Okay, I'm
I-
putting my hand down because I just solved the problem.
Oh, well, isn't it great when you guys are able to take care of your own? Not that I don't like helping, but good job. All right, Philip. Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us. So, Philip, what's up? What's your question? Got it, Bob. Thank you. Philip, I'm trying to ask. Oh, your hand is down too. All right, so all hands are down except for Denise, and she's trying to get there. Okay, so everyone remember to go over to, oh, Denise is sharing now. Okay, good. All right, so let's see. Can you go to definitely that is your school one. Can you go for a second to your um over here to where your name is just to confirm that you're no, there, yeah. Click on that. Click, yeah. Where you might be seeing Zoom in the way.
Oh, I got to get the zoom out of the way. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so click on your little picture of yourself. There we go. And you are, even though it's, interesting, because even though it says SBCC, oh, here it is, DS Grim
I
pipeline.
am on my pipeline here.
Okay, so that is correct, which I thought it would, but sometimes there's a few times I've heard people having double, two different connections. Okay, so here's the deal. Some pipeline accounts don't get access. I can now fake it by sending it just to you, which I can try that, but I think that's what was happening last time that I put your name in person. That doesn't fix that your shared drive isn't showing you the stuff. So what I need you to do is to check in with tech support that I have in that initial email. Call them and say, my pipeline doesn't show the shared drives. Every time that a student is new to the school, this happens to them. You're not new to the school, but last time what I did is I sent it to you directly, which if I do that right now, it'll still won't be fixed. So call the pipeline, call the tech support people and tell them that your shared drive isn't showing your stuff.
Mhm.
Go ahead and click on my drive to see if you have access to that. Okay.
That's the whole class, right?
Yeah, that's good. And if that's why when you went to home, you had the old stuff, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that's the stuff that you had from before. So this is the spring stuff, right? But that's only because you had them from before.
So the number is on the initial email. The number, the tech support email.
Yeah, and here, I can give it back to you guys again. You should always keep let me go to any of my welcome emails. Let me do that. Here's welcome to Mac 1, and at the very bottom of it, have this line, and let me put it in the chat. Okay, now that's the number and the schedule. Copy that down or take a screenshot or something like that. But if you need to, it's in the welcome email at the bottom right before I go, okay, bye, see you soon, right? Then I put, if you need tech support, and I have that number in there. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes meaning if they can't fix it, what tends to happen is they can't fix it in the moment. They have to put it on a list, and then the people who deal with pipeline have to go in and do it. So you need to get like what's called a trouble ticket, and then they hand it over to some tech people who then fix it, and then it starts working. Okay.
Perfect.
That way, it's not just a one-time fix. That way it's fixed and you get your pipe,
Yeah.
right? Hi, Colette. Thanks for joining us. All right, Michelle.
Um, okay, hi. I have the same problem and I called them and there's two, there's four numbers you could press apparently when you call that number. And number 3 was for non-credit classes and number 4 was for credit. But I couldn't get a hold of non-credit. I called like 3 times. So I talked to 4 and they went through everything and they said my computer's fine, but I still don't get anything in my drive. So should I just keep trying?
No, you need to call them. Yeah, you need to tell them that your teacher has your class files on the shared drive and that they need to do something in the background for their pipeline. When people are new to the school, it's happened to me through across all my classes that people who are new to the school, their pipeline isn't set up correctly. I don't know what it is, but they need to trigger something in the back. And but after people talk to the tech support and sometimes the credit tech support, here, let me
Well, they said they couldn't do anything more at the
well, they do. So it's like say, okay, well, I need a trouble ticket for someone to fix my pipeline account because
okay, so it's just say if my pipeline account is not getting, I mean, I get your emails on my email, but not the shared drive. So
yeah.
yeah.
Just say my teacher insisted that there's something you guys do that fixes it. Send it to someone who can deal with the pipeline account. It's
Okay.
the regular tech support people who answer are just like me. They know about computers and they do what they can. But this is like an internal thing that they need to get into the account and fix. So
They did go into it, but I
no,
will.
no, not into you. Whoever fixes pipe,
Okay.
like
The main tech persons.
the system, yeah, something is triggered that they need to fix that I don't know
Okay.
what it is. So it's not. So if you go to SBCC tech support, like not teach support, tech support, there's IT support, there's student support, IT support for student. I think there's IT support for students. Here it has credit numbers and
Mm-hmm.
it has non-credit numbers. And I think that the non-credit, here, let me put this in the chat as well. So Denise, everyone, click on this link so you can see that page, which is by the way, that's the page that I linked to where it says check here for updated hours. It links you to this page. Credit has longer hours because we teach older classes and they start at 11, 10 a.m. Non-credit start earlier, but they end up earlier too because there's no evening classes in the summer. Okay. So at this point, call whichever one works. But what happens is that sometimes the non-credit students are more focused on having people who are bilingual and who can help with like registering and other kind of stuff like that. And I find that the more techie ones might be the ones that are up here in credit, but it's not a matter of saying that you're a credit or a non-credit student. Like at this point, it's about, especially in the summer, it's the pipeline account, which is the same for everyone. Credit, non-credit, it doesn't matter. This is a kind of problem that isn't about whether you're credit or non-credit. It's your pipeline account, which every student in school has, right? So you can call either one of these. So Denise, did you click on this link to get these numbers now? To get this account? I don't know if Denise, yeah. And then so keep that page open, you guys, and deal with when you need to deal with tech support, you can really use either one. What they didn't want credit tech support doesn't understand at all about non-credit classes. So if it's about a class, they have no idea how to help you. That's why you got to go to the non-credit tech support. But in this case, it isn't about a class, it's about pipeline. You know what I'm trying to say? So when it's about that or Zoom or pipeline issues, you can have anyone help you. Any of the tech support people help you. Does that make sense? We were complaining because the credit people didn't know how to help non-credit people, so they gave us people who know non-credit and they put them in a separate number. But pipeline is a school issue. Okay. Okay, so you can call anyone. All right. Denise, if for any reason and that still doesn't work, and the same with Michelle, I can add you individually. And hopefully that works. Let me know. But it keeps happening every time. So I'd rather try to get it fixed so that your pipeline is workable. All right. Hi, Yolanda. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Georgia. All right, so we were dealing with some tech support stuff as far as pipeline accounts. So those of you who joined us a little bit later haven't missed out on anything. My computer's about to die, I'm noticing. There we go. It was disconnected all evening, well, 3 days now, 2 days. Okay, there we go. All right, so how is it going with we were working on let me actually show you really quickly the handouts now for those of you who did or not try to go to the handouts. When you get to the Mac handouts account, now there's 2 Zoom class recordings, and this one is the intro to the Mac. And I'm saying that because a couple of you guys, and are you here? Someone joined us last week who was new to this class. Oh, was it Colette? I think it was someone else too. Okay, no, but I think it was someone other than Colette. I would have to look at was it Michelle and Colette, both of you guys? I think there's a third person because you guys are in some others of my classes and I've seen you, but there was someone who is new, completely new to me here too. Anyway, this is the intro to the Mac that you guys didn't take, and it's not fun to go through a bunch of things. It's 3.5 or 4 hours each. But what you might want to do is click on these summaries and see which one talks more about the cloud. I believe that we did some towards the end and at the very beginning. I think those were the 2 times that we did a lot of that work. So go and see, and if you see, for example, let me open the last one, for example, and the summary, and over here it talks about, anyway, so basically iPhone Marine, RAM, tech support, advice, Mac file navigation. So for example, file navigation, path bar, all of this is what I reviewed at the beginning of last week. File storage results, accessible, and then the rest is accessibility features and other stuff. So then you know that if you go to like somewhere in the middle-ish, so if this is where the class started, the dock, the recents, the RAM, and then you can go to the beginning of that class and find the parts that are missing. That doesn't take away that you probably need to take the class in the future, but you can then go to the recording and kind of zoom over, guided by what this is saying, what you want to skip over and what you want to do. Okay. Now the whole thing, for everyone who's been taking the classes Mac level 1, here is last week's class and what we did last week, and then you'll see today's and so on and so forth. Why is the date? There we go. So this is this week's. Okay, so you have both together. So you can access that. Other than that, as I said, I keep reviewing stuff and that helps. All right, so it's interesting because when I talk about the stuff that is out there, and these are old pictures, in fact. Now that I think of it, I was seeing some pictures of the new, they're talking about this Hyperion, I think they're calling it. They're what used to be Facebook Meta just announced yesterday they're creating a building like this that holds data, crunches data, and they showed a map of Manhattan, and it's the size of Manhattan. A building the size of Manhattan that they're building somewhere, they don't say where, to deal with processing artificial intelligence. Now they need even more crunching processing power. So when I say these buildings are huge, it's crazy how big they're, miles long. I mean it, right? And anyway, so this isn't the connections between all these computers and all the computers around the world is kind of what we call the cloud, but ultimately lives in a physical building. It's not that it's ever, there's no such thing as a cloud, so to say. It's just that all those connections that connect under the ocean through the satellite, through the world, and we just plug our final little computer into our company that sells us cloud, that's really how everything is connected. It is ultimately a physical connection, which is why when there's like magnetic solar storms or, cables become disconnected, there's a disruption, but they have so much duplication and reduplication that for the most part, we don't experience drops, but it's not like your stuff is going to disappear because of one computer somewhere in those buildings dies, because your stuff is kind of let me explain it. The best I can explain it, if anyone remembers, I should have a test tube filling experiment or connected test tube. Let me see. There's an experiment that everyone does. No. Anyway, have you ever, I'll have to look it up for one of those pictures. I know exactly what I mean, but there's this have you ever seen when they have those test tubes that are connected at the bottom and you pour water in one and they all fill up evenly? You know what I mean? It's not like one fills up and then the other one fills up. And that's how these computers go. If your data arrives, it goes into the drive that has space. If another data arrives, another drive has space, then more data arrives. So your stuff is spread out everywhere. It's not like your documents are in one computer and if it fails, you lose it. Does that make sense? It's like little tiny particles and bits of information are spread all over the place. And I have no idea how that works. I am a front end computer user. I'm not a back end, and it's a word. It's how to describe system developer kind of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty impressive technology. But but yeah, so your stuff is safe. It just needs to be placed there without anyone knowing your passwords. So when people say, well, is it safe to have my stuff on the cloud? It's as safe as you make your passwords. No one's going to be trying to hack into Mary Smith's or John Doe, Jane Doe, or whatever's individual, unless they're a really important person or someone who has, if you're a writer and everyone's waiting for your next novel and you have your novel in the cloud, and if someone were to be able, like if you're a writer of like Harry Potter kind of writer, everyone's waiting to see number 7. Yeah, you better have your data well protected. You know what I'm trying to say? Or if you are a rock star, well, someone's going to try to be hacking into your stuff. Of course they will. But if you're a regular person, what can happen is that they hack into Apple. You know what I'm trying to say? But from there to getting your stuff, that's not what you should worry about. What you should worry about is about people around you trying to get into your bank account and stuff like that. So you need to have a good password. Tech support, Apple doesn't know your password either. They can't get into your individual information either. Okay. So that said, I need now to see if you guys remember, I need you to divide yourselves in reds and greens, check marks and X's. If you discovered over the last few classes that your files are on the cloud, give me a green check mark. If you've discovered, and George, I see your hand is up, so you can not answer for now because I want to keep it up. And then if you discovered that your stuff is on your computer and solely on your computer, then give me a red X. And I know that it was pretty even. In fact, I think there was almost more red X's than greens last time. Okay. So, Carol, do you remember if your stuff is on the cloud or on your computer?
It's a mess. I'm on the new computer now, and
Oh, you switched. Okay.
so I don't know where anything is.
Okay. Well, we'll help you figure it out.
Okay.
Philip, do you know the answer to that? You're muted. You're muted. so your talking isn't helping. And Michelle, anyone who hasn't answered yet, please answer. But
Did you
these
say X is on the cloud and Y?
yes
and-
is on the cloud, no is not on the cloud
Okay,
on your computer. Okay.
thanks.
Philip, you were trying to talk. Now you're unmuted. So what's up with you?
Yeah, I have stuff on the iCloud because it has that little cloud symbol.
Yeah, so go ahead and see if you can find the yes, because that we're going to use during the whole
Oh.
class. So start working on finding the React button, the one that has a heart, and then give me a little yes. Okay, so everyone don't touch again the yes or the no. That way they stay on. Okay, and then Carol, can you give me a quick share of your screen?
I don't know.
All right, so basically click on the green share button.
I got it. Yeah.
And then the next one, and you're gonna have to, since it's your first time sharing on this new computer, you're gonna have to follow some permissions, okay? So once you
Oh.
try to say share and share, if it's one time only, it'll say go to the system settings. Tell me when you get to that. So basically you click on the green share and then on the blue with
I
white.
did.
Okay, now do you see something like you need to go to the system settings? You should be seeing a message somewhere.
I went to that and I'm on screen and system audio recording.
Okay, so then on the right side of that, do you see Zoom somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, click on, there's like a little bubble that's gray that needs to be clicked on to turn blue, and it'll ask you for your computer password. On the right side
Okay.
of Zoom, put in your computer password. And when you're done putting in your computer password, it's going to say yada yada now or later. Say later.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think I goofed.
On the password. It's okay. It's the password that you use to turn on your computer.
Yeah, I did, but I think I accidentally hit some. So modify settings.
Now or later. Say later.
Oh, they didn't give me a choice later. Okay.
Okay, good. Now go back to the share button and you'll be able to share this time.
Okay. Hey, all right.
So share and then share again, the bottom,
Oh,
2 shares. All right, guys, we're seeing a brand new computer. Yay! Congratulations, Carol.
oh my goodness.
All right,
Wow.
say allow.
I did.
And now turn on the little bubble right there next to that one on the right side.
Next to Zoom.
Yep, click on that one. And there we go. All right, now why did it disappear? Is it trying to restart you?
I can quit the Zoom app or do it later. How about later?
Well, go down to see, does your dock appear? Because I could see your screen before and now I don't. That's
Yeah, I have a doc. Yeah.
I don't see it. Okay. Go ahead and share again because right now, I'm going to stop your sharing. Maybe what it said was don't share because suddenly we went blank. Try to share again. I hope we didn't just say don't share your screen. It just stopped
No,
your
I
sharing. Can you
think
try
you're
one more
right.
time? Go and say share and then share again. Because the moment you clicked on that, it went blank for us. I think
Oh,
maybe.
now it's taking me back to the settings.
Okay, go back. Maybe that thing that I told you to turn on was like
It's
opposite.
Okay, how about do I quit and reopen or hit later?
So hit later.
Now I get screen and system audio recording.
You should
Do I want
say,
to go next to Zoom?
should say yes to that.
It may not be able to record until it is quit. What?
That's fine until you quit Zoom like next time. Don't worry. That means that your part won't be recorded. No big deal. Just say, okay, yeah, got
Is
it.
it later?
Later. Mm-hmm.
Am I done?
Done. Okay, so now share again. And let's see if this time we
Oh.
see your screen. All right, brand new baby.
Another share.
And when you've had the older system, yeah, share and then share again. When you've had there we can see you now. Okay. So let me get my my little pencil. Move it
Oh,
up.
yeah, it says I am sharing. Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead and click on that little red dot, like it's not red right now, but close it out. Yeah. And then click on that one more time and then we'll close. No, don't say deny because that would be a problem. Say open.
Hit open.
Yeah. And now it's on. Okay, good. So now you can close it from the red dot. You're done.
I'm done. Stick
Yeah.
a fork in me. I'm done.
Good. And then you can close this window too because you've already launched Zoom, so you don't need this one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and now you're in your email. Okay, so let's open your your file, your window finder, a finder window. Jesus, my mouth is getting confused. Okay, and now let's see. It looks like your stuff has been left on your computer, but let's just try that. Let's go ahead and click on documents to make sure.
Oh, the documents thing is still screwed up, I'm sure.
Let's see. Yeah, you still have all the stuff that shouldn't be there. They didn't do anything about that. Never mind. The thing is that it's all still on your computer. So the answer to this is your stuff is not on the cloud. If you want on the cloud, we'll talk about it. But first,
Okay, I'm on the hard drive. Okay.
for now, your answer, I'm going to stop your share because now I know for sure your stuff. Then go ahead and click on the word desktop for a second. I have a feeling that all your stuff is probably living on your desktop. So go ahead here and click on your desktop.
Oh,
And that's where you have all your files. Okay. So
I don't have all of them, but anyway.
We'll work on fixing that, but
Okay, later. Yeah, I don't want to take time.
enabled your computer. We've shared. Now we're done. And we know that now you should give me a little red X because you're a no,
Oh, just to be sure, you have to have an X. Okay.
red X. Okay. Let me see. So let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the cloud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 not on the cloud. And I think Patricia is not on the cloud. I'm not sure. Patricia, she's checking in and out. She's working right now. So basically almost half and half right now. We have like one more person on the cloud than not. So we're gonna be whenever I demo things that are, if necessary, that are solely on a computer, I might need one of you guys to share your screen. All right. So that said, before we move, I was gonna do, I was gonna take a screenshot, which is why I wanted everyone to have their yeses and their nos. There we go. So then I can look at that and use it and have a couple of other screenshots from other answers. I'm going to delete them all so that I don't confuse myself. And this is the one that shows me the yeses and the nos right now. Okay. And let me name that one. 1 second. I'm going to call this one iCloud yes. Okay. All right. So that way I can refer to that. All right. Because you need different support sometimes, not always. The main part was the part that we did is describing where things go. And just so you know, those of you who have stuff on the cloud should be able to, when we go and open up our phone and our iPads, find your stuff there and the iCloud.com. And those of you who don't, then for sure in Mac level 2, you need to do a time machine backup to save your stuff from disappearing forever. So those are the two main divisions, okay? Now, what we haven't done yet is figuring out anything about, well, what to do. I've been telling you that you'll be able to have stuff on the desktop in a different way than you have it now. I've been saying all that stuff, but let's begin to understand better how files get stashed, how they get organized, how they get put away so that we can then reorganize them, right? It's like, have you ever tried to go to a friend's house and help them put away? And you're like, I don't know, where are your dishes? Where are you're trying to help put away, but it's like easier to just say, okay, I'll just dry stuff or whatever, right? Or I'll wash and you put away because you don't know where things go. So each house, each person has their own way of organizing things, right? So we're going to figure out what way you want to organize things and make it work for you. First of all, I did tell you that when I shared my screen this week, things would be a mess, and they are. I've messed my things up. So when I go to my documents, remember last week they were all nice and tidy and in folders. When I go to my documents right now, whoa, that's a mess, right? And this is the mess that I would expect 90% of you guys to have,
Hmm.
unless you've taken a class. Now, just because you've taken a class before, and this is for everyone who's here for the first time, it depends on you if you're going to go organize everything in the next 2 weeks, because we have 2 weeks of class, Tuesday, Thursday, and then after that we go into Mac level 2. So if you work only during class, you'll only get some of it organized. If you practice during class and then in between classes, you keep working on your stuff. Yes, by the end of the 2 weeks, you will have the computer completely, organized. And it's up to you. I'm not going to make you organize it, but I'm going to show you and we're going to work on it. We're going to practice it. And then the homework for every single class after this one is going to be keep organizing, keep working on the same thing we did today, keep doing more of whatever we did during the day. Does that make sense? It's
Mhm.
up to you to progress or not on getting your stuff organized, because I can't go in there and do it for you. Now, here's the deal. 100% of your files that are not photos, movies, or music. So if it's photos, movies, or music, so meaning if it's not photos, movies, or music, those three are the only exceptions. Anything else that lives in your computer that you've put in there, either by making it yourself or by downloading it or by someone emailing it to you, all of that needs to be in your documents folder. That's the place for it, no matter whatever it is, be it and I always give this example because I thought it was so extreme. There's a guy who was building his own airplane. So the manuals for how to build his airplane, to the recipes, to those reports on that board that you serve on, to the cute little you know articles you want to read that you've chosen to download, to cute little memes or stuff that people send that you want to keep. Anything that you create, that you make, that you write has to be under your documents. And then you all go, well, I write emails. Emails are not documents. Texts are not documents. Now, it used to be that everyone just had documents. You would write something as a letter and then you would send it to someone. Now, a lot of people write an email and send it to someone. So a document that you write as a letter that stays there, say you're writing your resume, you're writing your whatever, that exists in your computer as a file. But you would only do that if you want it to stay there. Like, for example, if you're writing a resume, you wouldn't want to like reinvent your resume each time you write an email. You would write it as a document, save it, and then attach it to your email. An email would be something that you would write in the moment, like a communication, and off it goes, and that's it. There's no need to keep it, right? Now, you might sometimes get an email that you do want to keep and turn into a letter, a document, a file. We can talk about that once we get to the mail class. But right now, once again, I said photos, music, and video are an exception, but also anything you've written on an email or as a text, that's not a file. Now, let me create a whiteboard, and this is a new whiteboard that I haven't done before, so I'm going to write it here. Okay, so I just basically said that photos, videos, music, emails, texts, contacts, calendar, appointments. Trying to think. Grocery lists, things like that. All of these are things that we might all, let me make it bigger. Okay. So these are all things, I don't know about you, but I do a lot of this, of all these things in my computer all the time. These, let me actually go back to, I don't know why the font got so big. Let me go back to there. Okay. So all of these personally, or at least in my experience, are things that I do mainly, right? And so all of these are done within apps. So what do I mean by that? The Photos app deals with your photos, and a lot of you look at me, a lot of you are going to say, well, but I have photos outside of my apps, for example. So let me, it's never good at letting me keep writing. It drives me crazy. There, photos in the Photos app, videos in the Photos app, music in the Music app. And you're like, why are you writing that? It's the same name. Well, no, I'm going to show you that. In the Mail app, texts in the Messages app, contacts in the Contacts app, calendar app. That makes sense. And grocery lists, comma, etc. in the Notes app. We're going to talk, there's so much stuff that can go in the Notes app. So these are the here, let me just, and I'm going to talk about, so what's left now. You guys tell me, what other kind of stuff do you have in your computer? So here's everything I'm telling you that goes somewhere else that is not document. So then what's left for documents? Like, what else do you have in your computer? Can you all tell me?
Letters.
Okay, that you write. Okay, so I'm going to put over here, letters, not in email form. Okay, where do you write those? What app do you use?
Word or a file of what, Pages?
Okay, and for those who don't know, Pages is the Apple version of Word. Okay, so okay, what else do you have in your computer? Those of you who have stuff in your computer.
Spreadsheets.
Okay. Spreadsheets. That would be, for example, budgeting or graphs about things, or and a graph, if you learn how to use Excel or numbers or those, you can make a graph about, you know, your blood sugar or your that kind. I mean, there's all these different things you can do, but you could also do budgeting, you can do whatever. So spreadsheets in Excel or numbers, or where else do you do something else other than these two? Where do you make your spreadsheets?
Only exclusively Excel. I mean, for me, yeah.
And by the way, Word is the Microsoft Office,
Mm-hmm.
and then Pages or Numbers are the Apple Word name.
Okay, yeah.
Some people might use Google Docs. Does anyone use Google Docs? Google Docs. I'm just putting that in there as a thought. Numbers or
My calculator is there.
okay. Calculator doesn't create a file.
Oh, I see. How about FaceTime?
Again, that's an app and it's to connect to people, but it doesn't, when you're done, you're done. For example, nothing gets left you know, for you to create. So you close the conversation and the conversation's gone. There's no leftover file. You know what I'm trying to say? So now files that you guys have, go look at your documents, go look at wherever you have them. What kind of stuff do you have on your screen? Screenshots, for example.
How about the Zoom? Do you include the Zoom?
Zoom again doesn't create a file. So what is left on your computer? Like what do you have? If I'm looking at my files, I'm going to reshare my screen for a second here. First of all, I want to make sure to save this, which in the past, as I said, has disappeared, and I don't want this to disappear. I think it won't be disappearing anymore, but let me reshare my screen for a second. I'm going to say stop this share.
About preview?
Hold on. I just want to make sure that we're saving this. Okay, that should be saying, okay. So let me share my computer. So for example, here I have a screenshot. And, you know, and a screenshot in this case is a photograph. I have a little video the sample that we're doing in the iLife class. You guys are going to make a little video of your photos. I have information for a class about colors, you know, so it's like are you guys seeing what I'm opening up? Is it
Yes.
Yes.
I have a little PowerPoint here, farm to table, again, family history. I have some a lot of some licensing information for a photo that I took. I have, and I always have fun because I write my novel as an example, but then my novel is empty. It's once upon a time. Here's my next chapter, but it's a sample. Here's an example during the pandemic. I downloaded a pattern for how to make a face mask. Okay. Here's some
Diane, forward that to me.
what
The pattern.
pattern. Okay, send me
Okay.
I'll send it to you. The printer came with a little test of things to print to see if this is just a sheet to see if the font got pregnant enough. So these are all files that I have. I have, of course, a lot of class files and information for class files and rosters and stuff that I'm not about to share, but this is an example. This is a practice roster, so I don't have personal information in there. So here we go. This is a spreadsheet, right? When you have stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that I have in this computer. So now look at your files and tell me, I have the manual for my dishwasher. Like, what do you have on your computer? Start writing it in the chat, okay? So we're going to go to the chat and start telling me what are those files that you have to organize it. So you have 41 folders, fine, but what do your folders hold? And I'm saying because Barbara wrote, I have 41 folders. It's like saying I have drawers. Yes, but what's in those drawers? Is it socks and t-shirts and pants? Like, what is it that you hold in your computer? Okay. So people who wrote Excel, numbers, and Google Docs. Okay. So what do you write? And I'm not trying to be intrusive with the specifics, but in general, what kind of things are you keeping it? Okay. So that's the kind of stuff that I want to hear. Knitting patterns, perfect. Thank you. I always give it. Oh, thank you for saying that. I keep giving an example, quilting patterns for some reason. I'm not a quilter, but for some reason, once I began to have the example of quilting patterns, and I kept giving that example. Now I'm going to switch to knitting patterns. Perfect. Michelle, screenshots, tax documents. Yes, tax documents, lesson plans, downloads from the internet. Carol, photos, recipes, minutes, speeches, screenshots. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. What kind of stuff do you guys use your computer for? And many of you guys are going to go, no, everything I use is up in that list that you gave us, you know, and I'm going to go back to my whiteboard now. And I'm going to open this one. Okay, so I'm going to keep writing in here. And for a lot of you guys, as I said, we'll discover that no, all the stuff you make belongs to that stuff up there. So screenshots, which you see on your desktop until you store it somewhere, if it's not a temporary screenshot. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking at your list. Okay. So now I'm going to start doing recipes, which you probably create in. So those of you who said recipes, was that Carol? What program do you use to write your recipes in? Carol, so say that.
Word.
Okay, Word. I'm gonna add, I put mine in Notes, and I'm gonna show you. And Notes is an app that goes from there, right? So this is me. And I have both Word and Notes, but I'm giving you examples. Okay, I have packing lists, for example, that I used to do in Word and now in Notes. And I'm just saying because all these apps are doing so well that many of the things I don't use Word for anymore. I also use some of these apps, and so we're going to learn about them. What else do we have? Minutes. So who takes minutes? What do you use? I think it was Carol, so you probably also use Word, right?
Yes. Yes,
All
I
right.
use Word for minutes.
Documents, Michelle, what do you use for your tax documents?
Well, I'm not really sure. It's downloaded, so
Is
I
it
guess
like
I
what's
guess it would be Word if I look.
well, what's that tax TurboTax? Do you have one of those kind of things? Let me put in TurboTax as an example, but I don't know if you do that. Or
It's just like for tax for student loan, you download it.
so it's Forms or something like that.
I mean, I don't.
But when you're done with that, you have a file that you keep.
I don't have a file. It's just on documents. Like
Okay. Okay.
it's a PDF.
The PDF. Okay. So we're going to talk about PDFs right now. In fact, yeah. But also it could be photos of receipts, for example. So there's a whole bunch of different things that tax documents can be part of. It could also be Excel, spreadsheets. There's so many different things that could be tax documents. Lesson plans. What do you use for your lesson plans, Michelle?
Well, these were downloaded from a
Okay, so they're
killer site. So
PDF downloads maybe also.
I mean, it says PDF.
Okay,
I
so yeah,
downloaded it from the site. So it's
new ones in any of the above, like Word or Excel or something. I have lesson plans in both Word and in Excel.
yeah, I mean, these are downloaded, but
Yeah.
I could put them in Word,
We're going to talk a bit what PDFs are and why. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm looking at your examples. Knitting patterns. Sue, in what format do your knitting patterns show up, and do you download them or do you make them yourself?
No, I download them from Revelry.
Okay, and so they come in PDF form, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have any ideas? Colette, you said Excel, numbers, and Google Docs, so these are things that you make, you create?
What about Quicken?
Okay, so Quicken.
How about applications like registration for classes?
Forms, like for registration. And the forms come in the format of PDFs for SBCC, for example. Okay, so
Doc X or Doc.
DOCX.
Yeah, DOC and DOCX.
D and DOCX.
Well, I have some Word Perfect documents that go way back.
Yeah.
Hmm.
DOCX. These are Word documents.
Word, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Excel. So let me talk a little bit about all these things now. Okay.
Deanna,
Yeah.
you keep interchanging the words documents and files. What's the difference?
None. And thank you for catching on that. A document or a file is the same thing. Now it gets confused because Word documents, the application Word made by Microsoft happens to be called Word. And so its extension is doc. So people think, oh, doc means they're Word documents or whatever. No. If I go and let me stop share and share my my documents here. The school, both Mac and PCs use a folder called Documents is the name they call it to hold all your stuff. Okay, so let's say the word stuff. Now we're trying to discover what that stuff is. And so people are going knitting patterns, taxes, photos, recipes. So all of that is documents, but they're also files. They're computer files. So imagine you know, the old filing cabinets. Who still has a filing cabinet in their house somewhere, or at least you had it when you were at work? You open the filing cabinet and inside you have stuff, right? All that stuff are documents or files. Does that make sense? In English, the word files tended to be the hanging ones, you know, the ones that you had like a
Oh, on the wires?
metal piece on the wires. We used to call those files. And then what went inside was those manila folders. And ever since I moved to this studio, I used to have a little sample that I'd bring up, and I left them and I haven't moved into the studio yet, but I don't have any here to show you. But you know, the big old, like the green ones with metal, that was a thing that held more stuff in it, right? But the stuff that it held could be, I don't know, health documents or bills. No one mentioned bills. Does anyone have their bills on their computer, for example? I don't know. Maybe you don't do it anymore. Maybe you just pay it through online. So, but if a bill arrives, in the past, we used to pay it and then keep the piece of paper and we would file it away, right? So we would file it away in files, but the bill was a document. Well, all of those words mean the same thing in this in the computer. So the piece of paper that's the bill is the document or is the file. Stashed inside of files, and those files are called folders. Okay. So a folder is the equivalent of the thing that holds a bunch of files, or a folder is that thing that holds a bunch of documents. So each individual electric bill is a document, but it creates a file. It creates a file that has an extension, and that extension will be, for example, in this case, it's a .png. This is a .pdf. This is a .psd. This is a .txt, and the .jpg. And what do these dots mean is the type of program that created it. So that .pages was created in an app called Pages, which is equivalent to the app called Word. It just oh, I'm not sharing my screen.
Yeah.
I noticed at the moment. Okay, so I was saying, so this, for example, is a .pages, which is normally extensions used to be only 3 letters. Now extensions have moved to be able to be more letters. So .html, .pdf, right? .m4v, .psd. So these extensions tell me what program they got created in, but the folder is just the holder of all those things. So it has no extension. It's a folder called travel, inside of which I put my documents. Okay. So the folder is the equivalent to that little metal we used to call file, the green one that hangs. And it was just we remember we put these little plastic things in it saying, knitting patterns or travel or whatever, bills, electric bills. So the folder is the holder of the actual files and or documents. It's not like it's two different things. It's two different words for the same thing. Does that make sense? So as much as you put all your documents in the documents folder, it doesn't need to be like a DMV document. It's any file that holds something. So that PDF with knitting patterns, that's considered a file or a document. Does that make sense, you guys? So thanks for anyone who asked about that. Because the wording isn't identical to what we used to use. The folders is the equivalent to the big holders. Maybe you had a big folder called one of those green ones that used to be called a file, one of those big green things with metal on them that used to be called bills. And inside of that, you might have had a folder for electric, a folder for gas, a folder for telephone. Remember? How many of you still file your bills that way? Just give me a little shake of your hand like that if you do that. Okay, so some of you still are doing that. Like you're still, we stopped a while ago. We're just doing it all directly through the bank. We get our email, our PDFs, our statements through the email, whatever. Well, where do you put those statements? How many of you stash those statements somewhere? If you don't, because then if you get them by email, you need to download that and download that statement. You'd have to make a folder right there to put in the statements that you receive from your bank or the bills that you receive from gas. Or I have to admit, we've gotten to the place where we don't do that at all because we know that if we go online to the bank, you can download any statement you want whenever you want it. Now, I don't know how far it goes in years. So at some point you might lose some stuff from years before. Do you need your bills from years before? Well, in the past we thought we did and we kept them all on paper. Now I'm not sure anymore if we need them or not, but we don't. Because since my husband does that part, I let him lead because I do other stuff and we've divided and he does the bank statements and he decided he just goes to the bank to get them whenever we need them. So
To be 7 years that you had to keep them.
tax stuff,
for
yeah,
tax
like
purposes.
your electric bill. But we used to receive an electric bill and we would stash it. We don't do that anymore, right? Now you can go to the Edison, put in your bank account number, and you can see all your bills for the past, years, 2 years. So in a way, if you're working within the new system, things have been simplified as to how many things you need to keep. But if I go into my own computer to my old stuff, I still have when I used to still download each bank statement each month. And then at some point we stopped and now we go to the bank, open in, sign in your account, and there's a statement. So I'm saying that things have changed quite a bit. Some people might still be doing it one way, some people might be doing it the other way, or somewhere in between. So there's less need for files on your computer, to say the truth, than there used to be. A lot of the times when I go to my documents folder and look at all my files, and many of them are really old, so old, like I don't create that many new files up, except for lesson plans. I keep creating lesson plans and things like that. But a lot of what I do now goes into, and now I'm going to share again my whiteboard. A lot of what I do now goes into these apps. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So anyway, so there's still need for documents that hold stuff, and those need to be organized in a way that they're findable. And no matter where you have them in the computer right now, my goal is that all of these things will end up in your documents folder. And you're like, no, I like them where they are. Don't worry, I'm not going to lead you kicking and screaming. I will lead you in such a way that either you choose to do it or not, but hopefully you will understand what or why. Now, all of these have different extensions, okay? So I'm going to start putting in here. Okay, so DOC, oh, maybe I'll do it in a new one. DOC or DOCX. So this is
CX?
extensions. It's .doc or .docx, okay?
What's the X stand for?
Yeah. So the
Okay.
X is the old, and I'm talking at this point, more than 15-year-old Word documents were only called DOC. And then at some point they started being able to do things on the internet, and so they added the X to it, and it has something to do with internet. And I don't remember what the X stands for per se, but all of them. So it used to be .exe for Excel, and now it's ex XC. I keep typing the wrong XLSX. It used to be not EXE. I'm sorry. It used to be XLS. That used to be Excel, and now they've just added an X to it. PowerPoint used to be PPT. Let me put the dot. PPT or PPTX. So that's like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, right? So those are extensions. Now, when I'm saying now, I mean for the last 10 years by now has been X. So, but I still have things written from before. And so you can open in any, if you make a new PowerPoint, it'll be called PPTX. But if you open this one, it'll still open in PowerPoint, but it's one of the old ones. And when you resave it, they'll add the X to it. Okay. So if you have something that was a doc and you haven't opened it in years, it's still just a doc. And if not, you can resave it as a DOCX. Okay, so these are the Office. Then there's dot pages, dot numbers, and dot I believe it's dot slides, not numbers. So this is let me see, this is Microsoft Office is those. Then the same Apple is pages, numbers, and I'm trying to move this up. Why is it not letting me move it up? When I want to move it up, I can't. Okay. So now I want to take that arrow away. I didn't need to delete all that. And how do I redo? Just didn't want this arrow. Okay. So Microsoft Office, Apple, and then someone had a question there about Google. Google. The apps are Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google. So I'm making a mistake. Keynote doesn't save as a, what's the extension of a Keynote? I think it's just called Keynote. Yeah. And Google Slides. Okay, so let me explain. Google Apps. So Google doesn't save files as files that you can put in your documents folders at all. It's only online. And so you use these 3 apps. So someone said, when is it appropriate to use Google versus these guys? So it's basically a matter of form. What was the actual question? When is it appropriate to use Google Docs versus Word? Carol Soseda is asking that. Okay. So all of these things tend to be made in basically one of these programs. Okay. Most of you mentioned Word or Excel, which is the Microsoft Office suite of programs. Those of you who got accustomed to using the Apple ones, this is the equivalent. This is equivalent to Word. This is equivalent to Excel. This is equivalent to PowerPoint. And then you saw that my handouts, for example, are Google. Docs. So like the handout that has the list, the links and stuff like that, it's a Google Doc, in fact. So why would the question was how come is it appropriate? And let me just say it's different systems. These two, Office and Apple, create things that leave a file that you need to here, let me see if I can draw that line there and there. So these create files that you can access versus Google Docs, Sheets, or Slides don't even have extensions because Google only works online. And anything you make in Google Docs, Sheets, or Slides lives only in the Google Drive. If you ever want to take it out of the Google Drive and bring it into your computer, you need to save it as, for example, a Word document, and then you can open it in Word. But you cannot open a Google app, a Google Doc in your computer through Word without converting it into a document. Does that make sense
No.
at all? What's that? Basically, this is a bit more similar to all these apps in that when you create something inside a document called Google Docs, so save, let me, Google is only on the internet. Google has never been and will never be part of being in your computer. Okay.
It won't be part of iCloud.
No, iCloud is Apple. Google is a different company. So they each have their own stuff. So Apple, Pages, Numbers, Keynote, all of that gets saved in your computer or on the iCloud. Doc, XLS can be in your computer or in the iCloud. Docs, Sheets, and Slides, which are the names of the equivalent applications, they are only in the internet and nothing else. It's like they live in the cloud, but not in the iCloud. iCloud is the brand name of the Apple. They live in the Google Drive. The Google Drive. Remember, you all have to go to the Google Drive to get to my cloud. Does that make sense? And I know that it's not necessarily the most logical thing right now. We're getting there. But let me draw a line across these because these you can only see in the internet. So let me, if you guys want to do a little screenshot of this, here I'm showing the whole thing. This will be saved in your handouts, but basically we're going to talk a bit mainly about the difference between these and these. Okay. This is Apple apps, and how many of you haven't said that yet, but do you have photos in your computer that are not in the Photos app? And I haven't had you guys, let me clean your answers. Philip, I see your hand is up. I'm about to clean it off. Oh, Georgia, I'm going to clean your feedback. So you need to raise your hands again. I'm saying to Georgia and Philip to raise your hands again because I just cleaned all the feedback, which includes your. Okay. And then my question is, give me a yes if you have photos in your computer that are hanging out in your documents or in your pictures folder or stuff like that, that is, is not in your Photos app. If you know that it's not in your Photos app, you have photos in your computer, are not in your Photos app, and you're like, I don't know where my photos are, then don't answer. But if you do know that your photos are in the Photos app, then that's fine. But if you have photos hanging around somewhere else, and it's very typical that you have them in your computer, in your desktop, for example, how many of you have photos on your desktop? In which case you should say yes. If you have photos on your desktop, you should say yes. You should give me a little green check mark. If you have photos somewhere in your documents folder, or some of you still have a folder called pictures folder, if you have photos in there, all of those people give me a yes. Okay, so I'm seeing lots of yeses. So I don't need to see individually which, but most of you guys are saying yes. You see photos somewhere else, not just in your Photos app. So all of you guys who just said yes, and whoever hasn't answered yet, just look at those photos that you have hanging around. And if they are photos that you would want to have to save, forever, together with the photos of your, trip to Paris and your daughter's birthday, then they should be in your Photos app. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And if it's a photo that you want on your desktop, is you want to see it all the time because it's your favorite little grandchild and you just like giggle every time you see it, then yes, you can then from your Photos app bring one out and have one on your desktop, right? To look at all the time. Even you can make it into your wallpaper. So I'm not saying you can't have any. Now, if it's like photos of maybe you rent properties and you own properties, and these are all properties that you own and you have your photos in some folder. Well, you can either put them in the Photos app, and I'll teach you how to make a folder for all your properties, or you can have them in a Documents folder, in a folder called My Properties, and have the photos in there. For example, I work with clients who give me photos for their jobs that I do for them. Those don't go in my personal Photos app. Those go in a folder with the client's name and the project that I'm working on, and those photos go in there. So I'm not saying that you can't have photos in your Documents folder, but if it's a photo that you want to enjoy and see and have, that it should be in your Photos app. And then you need to organize your Photos app to be able to find all your stuff in your Photos app. So, so when I say photos should be in the Photos app, any photos that's of your life, of your memories, of your whatever. Now, if it's like, as I said, a client folder and it's a file that you don't want to go see every time you go and look at your family photos, then yeah, you can have it in a folder with stuff that you do for that client. And that folder would be in your Documents folder. Okay. But those would be the only photos that should be outside of the Photos app. Now, for the people who said yes, what kind of photos do you have hanging out? Just as a throw out some, just speak up. Like, what kind of photos do you have that you know are not in the Photos app? Like, of what? Things that you've downloaded? What? Yeah, Georgia?
I have a couple of photos that are subjects I want to paint because it's very easy to open them up from
Yeah.
the desktop. And I have a couple of screenshots that I've taken during actually Zoom classes of
Yeah.
sometimes work that somebody showed that
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to look at again.
Perfect example. Julie also has stuff on her desktop that she paints. So that's a perfect example of a very utilitarian need for an image. And if you learn how to use the Photos app, you can have a folder with all these things nicely stashed, and they could be in your Photos app. And then the one that you're painting right now can be on your desktop versus, the 10 or 20 that you've seen. And because these are big files, you might want to have them if you don't want to have them in the Photos app. Which if you were to take my photos class, you would learn how easy and simple that is. But if not, you can have them in a folder, and the document's called art photos for my art, for example. And then you can, and I'm going to show you how, bring a shortcut to that onto your desktop, but then the photos themselves would be stashed in your Documents folder. Okay. I would reckon to say that they'd be much better off in your Photos app so that you can see them really well and drag them out for certain needs. But, that's an example. Okay, so that's a perfectly good utilitarian reason to have some photos out there. If you start taking a lot of screenshots of different things that people show on the web, like if someone did a screenshot of this that I'm showing right now, do you guys see my type tools? Are they in the way of reading? I don't know if are you guys seeing only, I don't know what you guys see. You're just what I'm writing, right? You don't see all my tools that I have around?
No.
Okay, so because I had some tools in the way and I thought maybe you can't read. So say that you were to take a screenshot of this, even though it's going to be in the handouts, that would end up on your desktop. Screenshots always end up on desktop. So if they stay there, they start to litter your desktop. I remember someone shared their screen once and they had like 400 screenshots on their desktop. Well, plus they're all labeled screenshot. So, and as you saw when I shared my screen, I have like 25 screenshots. It's useless because how do you files for all of them. So either you keep them in folders called screenshot of this webinar, and then when you go back, you find the webinar of such and such thing, and then the screenshots for that webinar are in there without having to label each one, but you have a folder called such webinar or that webinar or this class or that class, right? And then all the screenshots of that class are in one folder. Then when you want to see the screenshots of that folder, you go to the nicely labeled folder and you open it up, and then you have like 20 screenshots in there, but you know they're all part of that webinar. Does that make sense? Versus all your screenshots from forever all lying around on your desktop where you can't.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I don't know who said thank you very much, but it
Okay,
wasn't.
bye-bye.
Okay, I'm gonna mute Colette. There we go. All right. Other people that you have things on your desktop or not on your desktop, on your computer that are photos, what other kind of photos do you have? George's example was great. What other kind of photos do you have on your desktop? Somebody wanna?
IDs and stuff like that.
IDs, okay. So have you ever done that? Taken a photo of your ID, or if you're traveling, photos of your passports, or during
Well,
COVID, you had
I
to.
would do them in Page and then save them.
Okay. I remember we had to show our vaccination record everywhere. I took a picture of that. So yeah, photos of stuff and documents. So again, that's all stuff that you could choose to save in your Photos app and have a folder of all your documents and IDs and things like that. Or you can decide you don't want it there. You're going to have them in a folder in your computer called IDs or documents. Stash in the documents folder instead of having it on your desktop. Now, again, you might be going, but it's easy to see it right there on the desktop. That's where I want to see it. And that's the part that we're going to keep talking about. And I'm going to show you that if instead of having the real thing, you have an alias of it, which is this little arrow, a shortcut of it, then it will work in the same way, but it'll be much better for your computer. So trust me, I'm not saying you need to take them off your computer completely, off your desktop completely. I'm saying that you can put them in your documents folder and then drag them out again in a different form where you're making a quick little shortcut. Remember what we just did, the doc, it's not the app, but it's the shortcut that opens your doc, your app. So if I go, let me go over to my computer now. And remember that I have all my applications here in my applications folder, right? And that if I go over here and I open, for example, my Safari, this is just a little button. It's a shortcut that if I click on it, it opens Safari, but the application lives in here. If I go to the S, Safari, there it is. It lives right there. But I still have it here. Why? Because this is a shortcut. Imagine, when you walk into your bedroom and you turn on the light, the switch, the light turns off, turns on in the middle of your ceiling, right? So the switch is like a shortcut for you not to have to climb the ladder and turn on the light by screwing in the light bulb each time. Does that make sense? So this is a little shortcut. It's a little light switch, so to say, that turns on this app. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's called a shortcut in the PCs. In the world of the Mac, it's called an alias. It's an alias. For some reason, they called it that at the beginning as opposed to shortcut. And so whenever you do this in the world of computers, you call it an alias in the Mac and a shortcut on a PC. But the shortcut, it makes more sense to me than the word alias. That's why I'm explaining it to you as a shortcut. But basically, it's a light switch, right? Okay. So this is not the app. This is just a switch that turns on that app. We all understand that one? This is not the calendar app. This is a switch that turns on and I'm going to go all the way to the C's, my calendar app. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
Good, following me there? Okay. So then, if you look at hold on, I need to take some out of the way so I can see my Zoom. If you look at this screenshots folder that I have here, it differs from the folder that many of you guys have because of this little arrow that's there. You see that? That arrow turns it into an alias. What does this mean? Well, if I go to my documents folder, I have a folder here called screenshots right there. See that?
Yeah.
This is a light switch, a shortcut to that folder.
What's the alias for?
It's a shortcut to that folder. So watch, if I go over here, open my Finder window, go to my documents and double click on screenshots and open screenshots. Here I have, look, 230 items I keep collecting. Look at how many screenshots I'm in here. I don't recommend that these should be organized, but this is just my example I'm always giving, and so it keeps growing. So these are all screenshots, right?
Right.
From this folder. Now, this is where this is stashed in my documents folder. In fact, if I look at the path, my screenshots are in my documents folder, which is in the iCloud Drive. Does that make sense? This portion? Okay. Now, I didn't want my screenshots to live just there. It would have been much easier to have it on my desktop. But screenshots are image files, or graphic files, they're big. And if they lived on my desktop, screenshot, 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 if I lived in here, they occupy a lot of space. And so people go, well, I have them here because they're easy to see. Well, guess what? This is a light switch, okay? It's a shortcut. It's an alias. That's just, the alias is the name that Matt gives it, but it's basically a shortcut. That opens that screenshots folder. Trust me, watch. I'm going to double click on this folder, and what opened up? My screenshots folder. That's in my documents. That's in my iCloud Drive. You see that? This opened up that folder. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me just show you. Just like this opened up my Safari. There it is. This opened up that screenshots folder that was hiding in the documents folder. So this concept is really important. So listen to it again. The alias that I just made allows me to access one of those documents that's really, 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 so to say for some people, hidden away in my documents folder. Now watch. What if I have a folder that's much more hidden away? This is a recipes folder, and here I have some soups inside of another folder or whatever. What if I wanted to I make soups every night, and I want this soup to be more easy to find, not soups inside of recipes, recipes inside of documents, documents inside of iCloud Drive. Then I can just make, and this is just, don't do it with me. This is the concept. I need people to understand it. Otherwise, later when I take you to the how-tos, if you don't understand what you're doing, and it makes no sense. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say, make alias. Just watch. Make alias. Here's the soups alias. Okay. It just got made. Now I'm going to drag it out, and I'm going to put this alias out here and somewhere in my desktop. My desktop is full of stuff right now. So look, my soups is still there with broccoli, butternut, and roasted bell peppers. That is still inside of recipes, right? That is still inside of my documents. I'm going to close this. So now, let me just move some things out of the way. So now it's time to make my soups. And I don't want to open my Finder window, go to my documents, go to my recipes, and go to my soups. It's 4 steps, but I don't want to do that. But I made an alias. It's a light switch. It's a shortcut that if I double click, I go straight to my 3 soups. Does that make sense? It's a quick access to that folder. So if I were to make a folder with all those files that Georgia was mentioning that she photographs, and I think she just had to leave right now, so she's not here right now, but
I'm still here, but I do have to leave, but I didn't
got it.
lose this.
to make a folder with, say, these 3 are the pieces of art that you are painting, right? And you grab these 3 and you put them in there, right? They're not on your desktop anymore. And now it's like, okay, I want to paint. You double click on that alias and you open it up, and there they are. Those are your pieces of art that you want to paint. Does that make sense, you guys? So
No.
not littering. Okay, I hear you. We're going to repeat this again and again. We're going to do it, and then you'll begin to experience it. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to drag them out again, and we're going to practice this, and then it'll make more sense. So you can have things on your desktop scattered all over, or you could have these three things are, and I'm giving Georgia's example. She says that she uses these as samples to paint, and I think Julie does that too. So say that we took this beautiful fish that I took from Sue, and someone wants to paint this. Well, you want to have it there on the side while you paint. You look at it and you go, oh, that was pink. Oh, this was white. You kind of get yourself a reference instead of being out in outdoors or whatever. You're doing it this way, right? So then, if these are hiding away somewhere, is they're hard to find, or if you have them spread all over your desktop, if you have a lot of pieces of art, you might end up having them in. So how much easier would it be to have a folder that holds them all and that you open them up whenever you want that one? So that's the kind of stuff that we're going to be talking about of organizing. Now, if you didn't get the concept, don't worry. We'll repeat this so many times that when you start doing it, and you'll see how when you click on it, you get to them, then it'll seal the deal. Then you'll understand it. Right now I'm explaining the concept. Then we're going to hands-on do all this. Okay.
Deanna,
Yes.
you're calling those that you just created a folder. Are those is that folder inside of the docs folder?
Yes. These two folders are, some people understand the word proxy. I don't know if you understand the word proxy. So this is not a different one. If I go to my documents folder, it's a folder that holds folders and files, because these are loose files that aren't organized. But this folder holds folders. If I go to my recipes folder and open that up, there's my soups folder. Oh, well, look at that. That is the real soups folder that holds broccoli, butternut, and roasted bell pepper recipes. That's the one. That's the deal. That's the real deal. That's the one that holds it. But I made an alias, which is like a little image of it. It's not a copy. This isn't the second folder that has the same stuff. It's an alias. This arrow points, it's like this is pointing to that folder. So that when this is closed and I don't want to go in deep, I can just go straight to my soups by just double clicking, and it opened that exact folder. It opened my soups folder in my recipes, in my documents, in my iCloud. Okay. That's it. It's like a light switch. I just walk into the room, I double click, and the light turns on in the ceiling. Good. I double click, and the soups folder that's in my recipes, that's in my documents, that's in my iCloud Drive just opened up. And I can now open my broccoli cheese today. Okay. So this is a connection. Now it works. It also to put away. So I have all these screenshots that I've been taking, and I want to put them away. Where do I want to put them away? I want to put them away in the documents folder, and I want to scroll down and I want to put them in my screenshots folder because that's where they go. But I don't want to have to do that. So instead, I have the little alias right there. And now I grab my screenshot and I drop it in there, boom. And I drop it in there, boom. Or I'm going to drop many at a time. I'm going to drop all of these at a time. And I'm going to take them all the way in there and boom. So where am I storing them? I'm storing them way in. And so now I have been keeping these for the last week out on my desktop, trying to make sure that I had enough for today's example. Here we go. Phew. Nice cleaning up my desktop, isn't it? I'm slowly putting them all away. And I'm going to keep the one that you just said, iCloud, yes or no. I'm putting them away. I'm putting them away. I'm putting them away. These are, so I don't need this. I don't need that. And then I'm going to go and delete a lot of these. I've been leaving them out so then I'm leaving out the audio button that I tend to need to help people with. Oh, and this, by the way, is an example of my documents folder that I had the other day organized. So this is a screenshot. My documents folder right now are not organized. Right now, I purposely, for today's class, I made a mess. I opened it all up. And the goal is to go from that to this. Does that make sense? Here's my screenshots folder.
There's your recipes.
And I have my screen, there's my recipes folder. And then the rest of the stuff, I made more folders to them. And I began to organize them in ways that make sense to me. And for some of you guys, you never travel. You won't have a travel folder. You don't write. You won't have a write folder, but you knit. You might have a knitting patterns folder. Does that make sense? You take minutes at boards. You will have a board minutes folder. So whatever you do, you will create a folder for it so that later when I go to my documents folder, I don't have this meet me like, where's my stuff? I'm just going to put it on the desktop so I can find it. Instead, you will have something that looks like this, and you will go, oh yeah, I need to go pick up my board meeting minutes. You just double click, there they are. And if you want them even faster, then you do a little alias for them and you drag it out, and then you have the folder's alias out here. So you don't even need to open up your Finder window. You just double click and you're in your board minutes, and you're in your knitting patterns, or in your art for painting folder. And I'm giving just these 3 examples that you guys gave me, but I'm sure there's other things that people didn't necessarily give me as samples. And then you don't need to have it. And see how suddenly my screen is beginning to clear up, right? And so it's like, oh, phew, I can lighten it up. Now, why does it matter to lighten it up? For the functioning of your computer. It functions better if it doesn't have a lot of stuff. And this doesn't count a lot of stuff. This is a light switch. Now, if I open it, I used to have 230 items. Now I have 245 items. I have just taken 15 screenshots from my screen and put them in here. Now I have 245 items. If all of these files lived directly on my desktop, that's beginning to alter the functioning of my computer. But by putting them in this folder, which really lives in my documents folder, that's the right place. Because now when the computer goes to use desktop space to function, it finds a lot of space free. Does that make sense? It's just a way the computer works. The desktop is not now loaded down with stuff, and it can work because we put the stuff in the right place. So I'm going to put a few more things in the right place. I was at 245. Now I'm going to put more and more and more. And if I want to see what this is, because I don't know, I hit a space bar and I go, oh, that's what that is. That's a phone number. What about this one? Okay, that's a message. Okay, so then we put it in here. What's this? This was the handout or whatever that I did the other day. Okay, I'm going to put it in there, but I'm not going to put this one in there. In fact, I'm going to put this one in the Mac classes, which is not a folder I have made right now, right? So you just look at them, hit the space bar, see what it is, and then you go, oh, okay, that's where that is. So now we'll put it in the right place, which right now I'm just throwing them all in there, but there's probably a better place for some of these, okay? And then look at how my screen is clearing up, which means my computer is able to now function better because I have less stuff. When I open the screenshots alias, I now have 250 items. These are all things that I have just dumped in there, and they are in the right place. Now, can I do some cleanup of this? Can I organize this? Of course I can. In my real computer, I do have my screens organized, because what's the point? If I have to see them this way, I might as well. But if I know what they are, then I could put them in the right place. Like this is a webinar about, painting techniques. This is my Mac level 1 class screenshots. This is my, history of whatever screenshot. So you make a folder in here that you can later access to find, those webinar screenshots from that great writer, that great speaker, that great whatever, that you wanted to remember some of their quotes or some of their things. And then they're more findable than if they're all like anonymously spread all over the place. All right. This is the theory. We're going to do the practice. We're going to make this happen for you guys. But I wanted to show you the explanation of how we can keep things on your desktop, but still access them, but not keep them really there. Keep them really well stored where they need to go in the documents folder. And then you just drag out a little alias and they can go back to being where they were. For those of you who have like 24 little folders on their screen, all that stuff really lives on your desktop. If you put them in the documents folder and then drag out exactly the same way as I did an alias, you will have the same organization as you had before, but the stuff will be stashed in the right place. One last example. How about if I say that I have a living room, and since I wanted to be able to find my shirts, say that there's no good light on my closet up in the bedroom, whatever. And so instead I go, you know what? I want to be able to find them easily. So I'm going to put them all hanging here in the living room. That's what you're doing. You've created a little, over every chair, over every couch, over every table, you're putting out your shirts so that you can see them and choose which one to wear, versus putting a light bulb in the bedroom so you can see them hanging in the right place. It's kind of that example is what I'm giving you. Just put them in the right place. And then it would be so nice, wouldn't it, if we could, from the living room, click on something and shirts come to my hand. Well, on the computer, you can do that, right? On the computer, you can click on that thing in the living room and all your shirts suddenly are there for you to choose the one you want. So since the computer, you can do that, let's use that magic feature instead of having to, go into the bedroom to find my shirts, which would be what you'd have to do if you put them in the documents folder and you don't make an alias. You do need to open up, go to the documents folder, open up that closet and look at all those shirts that you have in the screenshots. That we have to do in real life. But in the world of computers, we don't. We can put a little magic button that allows me to go straight to my shirts from the living room. Okay? So that's what that is. I see some questions. If it's about how this functions, we're going to start doing it. Okay? But if it's other questions, I'm happy to answer them. And yes, so Julie.
I'm curious, how do you, if you're done with the soup alias, how do you delete that or remove it?
Very, very, thank you for that question. Look, I'm going to open this up, right? Just to show you that my recipes, my soup alias is there. Say that this was this is a typical thing that I do for Thanksgiving. I bring out an alias for my Thanksgiving recipes. My husband's family is wonderful, but very stuck into tradition, and that we need to make the same recipes over and over again. And some of you guys might be that way. So I have a folder of my Thanksgiving recipes. So I'll bring out an alias. So I need to do my shopping or whatever. So for 2 weeks, it hangs there. Finally, Thanksgiving comes and goes. That's it. I don't need to see this folder for another year. The recipes are still there. Watch, the soups are still there, but I don't need the alias anymore because I don't need that quick button to get to them anymore. So I'm just going to right click and move it to the trash. All I did is the light switch is gone, but the soups are still there. I didn't need the quick access to it anymore. That project is done. I've completed the taxes for the year. I was working on my taxes, January, February, March. It's April 14th. I'm done. I filed. Get rid of the alias. All your tax documents are still where they are. Next year, when you say January, February, when you begin to consider, you pull out another alias for the next years, and then you have an alias there leading straight to your tax documents for the next 2 months until you finish with it, and then boom. Look, I can delete my screenshot alias, move it to the trash. There's nothing there. Oh, well, but how do I put my stuff in there? Well, here's my screenshots again. Let me make a new alias. Right click, make alias. There it is. I just made a new alias, and now I can drag this one out again, and I can do it again. And so now, and sorry, I don't have my mouse. I drag it there again. Now I have another screenshots alias. This is just an access to these things, but the things themselves are not being deleted. This is just the little shortcut to it. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yeah,
So
thank you.
any picture,
was it.
anything you have on your desktop can be thrown in the trash.
Well, if you don't need
Take
it.
any of those and put them in the trash.
If I throw this one away, and I'm going to right click, this is when I show people how to leave computer audio settings. If I show this screenshot away, I lose it. The only way I can keep it is by keeping it. But this, see this little arrow down there? It's an alias. Any alias I can throw away in the trash, and I don't need it anymore because it's not an actual, this is an actual file. If I throw it away, I lose it. If I don't want to lose it, I can't throw it away. This I can throw away because it's just an alias of a place that exists somewhere else. Okay, so no, I won't throw anything that's on my desktop away. I'm going to organize it and put it into its appropriate folder. Then I can bring out an alias for it. Okay,
Can't you go into your trash and
Well,
put
yeah,
that?
I can always save that mistake if I put it in the trash, but if I empty my trash, it's gone.
Oh, right.
She was
Okay.
saying, can you throw anything away and still have it? No, no, no. These things, if I need them, this is the screenshot I just took of who said yes or no about where their stuff is, and then I'll throw this away in a week or so when I don't need it anymore, of course. But for now, for today, I'm going to keep it because I still needed to know who has their stuff on the cloud and who not. But if I throw it in the trash, it's gone. Does that make sense? Now, if it's a screenshot that I want to keep forever, then I can put it in the screenshot folder and then it lives in my screenshots folder. When I go to it, it should be there. Now, this says 230 screenshots. So at this point, it's a bit unworkable, so to say. And I need to clear it out. And we're going to talk about how to clear out stuff. We're going to do that. But because if I need to find that one, how useful is it if it's amongst 230, right? But anyway, the aliases are what can be thrown away, or the stuff that I don't need anymore that can be thrown away. But I wouldn't throw away something that I'm needing. I would just organize it in such a way that when I'm done, and again, this is a screenshot, but I took a screenshot at night, so my screenshot went dark, but it's the same thing. This is my documents folder. Last week, I had them all organized, and I told you next week when we start the class, it'll be a mess again. And so I did, basically I took everything that was inside of these folders and just strewed it all over the place. And now we need to recreate this structure. Does that make sense?
How
So-
do you take a screenshot?
Okay, I do a screenshot by doing I hold down the Shift Command 4 and see how my screen now turned into a little, my mouse turned into a little, how do you call it? Crosshairs.
Yeah.
Now I can do a little click and drag over these three things. Boom, I've created a screenshot. And so this is the screenshot that I just took. I
Shift Command 4.
yeah. And then you do a screenshot, but be careful. See, now I don't need this screenshot. So I'm going to move it to the trash immediately because it's not a useful screenshot. It was just a sample. Otherwise, I will have a lot of littered stuff hanging out there. So
You can do Command 3 also, right?
Hey, how come I don't get to
Command
talk?
3 does a screenshot automatically, and here it is of
The
my
whole thing.
window. And now I have a screenshot of my entire window, which is really
Yeah.
confusing because it's like, okay, you know, it's an entire window screenshot. See, this is a screenshot within a screenshot. So rarely do we need to screenshot our entire window. And that's why I went with Shift Command. I'm going to move that to the trash. Shift Command 4 allows you to take a picture of that photo that someone's showing that you want to then paint or whatever it is. Just a very, like I took a little screenshot here of just the audio button. When people go, no, I don't see it. Well, that's the button, right? So I have a little screenshot of it. Or I took a screenshot of my organized documents folders, which I now will keep handy to keep comparing. But when I'm done with it, I can either trash it or stash it. All right. Philip, your hand is up.
Yes. Thank you for picking me. I have a question on screenshots. Why do you have so many of them? I don't understand screenshots.
Yeah, great question. Here's the deal. I have a ton of them because in my classes, not this one, but I teach a lot of graphics classes. In those classes, we take about 3 to 5 screenshots per class, and I teach 5 of them a week. So that's like 15 to 16 at the end of the week. That we then people need to post as homework for me. So when I post them, they end up here and then I trash them and I'll post them and basically, and then this is an example, but see all students post their screenshots of their work in my Photoshop class, for example. So this is something that I make my students do and I do for my classes, but at the end of the week, I don't need them anymore. So I trash them. Okay. But I left them there on purpose. I've been leaving them there on purpose for this class to show you. But yeah, like what's this screenshot? This is a screenshot of someone's some preferences. What's this screenshot? This is a screenshot of, oh, me. I can get rid of that one. When I do my video, no, but there's a reason for those screenshots. When you go to to YouTube to see one of my movies, one of my videos. See this little thing there?
You.
That's a screenshot that I need to take. And so I take a screenshot of the video that I was teaching and I put myself there. And then I have to delete it. So I take screenshots all the time and then I have to delete them. And the ones I leave here is because I'm leaving them for this class for samples. But no, I don't have, see, this is an example of more screenshots with aliases that I did last class. Do I need that anymore? No, I don't. I can move that into the trash right now. So we're going to talk about cleaning up and looking at what you have and keeping it. But that's why I have at least 20 screenshots a week on my desktop that then I need to keep cleaning out. But do you need to do screenshots? No, the only reason you would need to do screenshots is if you are doing screenshots of things that I'm teaching, for example, that you want to see and visualize because you don't want to have to go all the way to the recording to see it, for example, then that's a good time to do a screenshot. So for example, when I was just showing you that whole whiteboard that I was writing, if you don't want to go get that whiteboard from the handouts, you can just do a screenshot right now and then you can go back to it and go, oh, these were that. And then when you learned it and you don't need it anymore, you can trash it. All right, Barbara, your hand is up. You're muted. I can't hear you.
She has to mute.
I'm sorry. I'm notorious. When I make like a folder, an alias, I'm gonna put it on the desktop. I'm notorious for forgetting something. To add, to put in the folder for the
Yeah.
alias. Can I right click on something and say make alias and move it over to the folder and drop it in it?
Yeah, no, we're gonna talk about that. But right now, notice that say that I put a bunch of, I made this right now.
Right.
I left some screenshots out. I can just, that's the whole point. This acts as a folder. I can
Right.
grab this. Let me see, what is this one? I can grab this and just drag it in there. You don't need to.
Just drag it straight. Thank you.
And that's equivalent as, and I'm going to undo that. Here it is again. It's equivalent to me having opened this Finder window, going to the documents, open
Right.
my screenshots and dragging it in here. And that works too. But I might as well have just dragged it in there. Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs a screenshot alias folder on their desktop. I'm just saying people who make screenshots a lot, and that's maybe 5 of you guys, instead of having your desktop covered in screenshots, make yourself one alias and just drag them in there, and then they get stored in the right place. And when you need them, you go to that folder to find them.
Well, that would be handy for me.
Better yet,
because
you can label
sometimes
them. Like this one.
I would like to make a screenshot while you're on the screen or showing something on the screen and go back and look at it later in that day.
Yeah.
So
then you can just do this to them. So, and then keep them. So I just made this one today, the iCloud, you guys saying yes or no. And this is the one I did earlier this week when I disorganized my folders. This is what I mean. This is the one that I had all the organized folders. I disorganized, messed them up for today's class. And this is a screenshot I took of that. These two I'm going to keep here because I'm going to keep showing them to you as we move through these steps. And this is the one that whenever people say they have 2 computers in the same room and I have to tell them, go to audio, go to Leave Computer Studio, whatever. So I keep this one on hand because I need to show this one a lot too. And the audio button. So these 4 I'm going to keep here, but the rest don't need to be in here. Does that make sense? So I
Yes.
can get rid of them. And so I'm going to keep dragging them in because I don't need them. And then what's this one? Oh, okay. So I don't need that one. I don't need that one at all. So I'm going to move that one to the trash. All right. And how about this one? I'm going to delete that one and move that to the trash. So now I've kept only the ones that I need for this class. And look at how much cleaner my desktop is. Isn't that kind of cool? But beyond how much cleaner it is, how much more functional it is for my computer is what really matters. And all the ones that I needed, I kept in here. Does that mean I don't need to organize these? No, of course not. I should open this up. And now I have 252 items and I start organizing them. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff in here that I don't need anymore and that I can organize now. And say these 4 were from such and such webinar. I need to watch it. And these 4 from that. That's what we're going to learn when we get back from the break. So all of this was the theory of it. Okay. When we get back from the break, which we're about to take, we're going to open up our Finder windows and we're going to start organizing, creating these folders, putting stuff in them so that we can begin to make sense of the stuff that we have. And that by the time we're done, hopefully it'll look more like this than like this. Okay, so these are the opposites. It's the same exact computer, right? And then this is the reason I did the screenshot at night and that's why it's dark in the background, but it helps to show that one is different than the other. This and that holds the exact same stuff. I didn't add or take away anything, but I organize them into folders that make sense because otherwise here it'll be so hard to find the thing I'm looking for versus if I'm looking for my recipes, I just go straight to my recipes folder in my soups. If I go looking for my attendance rosters instead of like going all over the place trying to find for my stuff that's loose amongst everything, which is kind of what's happening for most people right now. Okay. I'm gonna stop the share. Can somebody figure out 15 minutes for me? It's 10:56,
4 of.
11,
Sure, 11, 11.
11 a.m. Let me say 11:12 at this point because I did notice that it changed a while ago. Okay, so it's back at 11:12 a.m. and let's make sure to tell Siri to remind us to walk back to our computers in 12 minutes. So, hey Siri, set timer for 12 minutes.
Set timer for
I
12 minutes.
always forget about Siri.
You guys in 15.
Thank you.
All right, we're back. If you guys are back, let's go ahead and get ourselves. Give me a, hold on, let me clear your feedback from before. Give me a yes. So that I know you're back there. If those of you who turn on your videos, please turn them on. Those of you who don't, at least give me a yes, so that I know you're there in the background. Okay. Barbara, are you there? Yeah, send me an email about the mask pattern, because once the chat closes, I don't see it anymore. Okay. Anyway. So Carol Sauceda, are you there? Not yet. You had a question about how do you know when you've put photos in your Photos app. So we're gonna talk about that too. Can I make a second calendar? Yeah. All right, and all right. So I'm just reading because I think I might have missed a message in the chat. But here we go. All right, for the most part, I got them all.
Sorry, I'm back.
That's fine. All right. Oh, you had a question about how do we know that a photo's in the Photos app? So we're gonna, as we start organizing things, we're gonna get to that one too. Okay. But if at some point you notice that we're talking about photos and I haven't mentioned that, then let me know at that point. Okay. So just for a second, we're gonna go back to that handout, that whiteboard that we were working on, that I was working on. And here's the thing. Not everything, or in fact, many of the things that we do now in documents don't end up as files. So this here, one thing I forgot here to describe is that this that is above this line, and for some reason I can't seem to be making a line without it trying to attach itself to one or the other. Under this is all, or above this, let's say these two. These are not files. These things here, these are the ones that do make files. What's underneath it, okay? So to the question that someone had, what's a file, what's a document? Below this line, these are files or documents. Below this line. Created in apps, but saved outside of the apps in our computer. So now I'm going to see if I can select all of this. Drag it down a little. Okay. So these apps here, when you create a letter, when you create a file of any kind, these are files that are saved outside of the app. So these are the ones that we need to organize. Okay. Thus, they need to be organized and filed into folders. Someone is talking and sounding like a whale. What I mean by that is I'm hearing does that make sense? I'm not sure who's talking right now. If you're talking with your
Actually, I have a person, a neighbor that's using a saw. That's very loud.
It's using what?
A saw.
Oh,
He's,
a saw. So that's the saw. It's like, okay. I was hearing like,
that's,
okay. Thank you. Hi, Kate, by the way.
I went and closed all my windows while we on break, hoping to dilute it, but it didn't do much.
Yeah. So here we go. These are files that create these things that we need to organize. Okay. And there's more, like those of you who take my Photoshop classes or, all of the Adobe, the InDesign, there's many more, not just these, but this is an example of what you guys told me you use. So I was going by what the feedback of this class was, right? But I know, for example, that Barbara, she's in my Photoshop class. She also saves out Photoshop files that also are this kind of example versus above. This is all done within, oh, not within these apps. So if you have any emails, they stay on the email app. If you send any texts or messages, they stay on the messages app. If you create a contact of someone, it stays in the contacts app. Does that make sense what I mean by they stay within the apps, right? So the notes app holds a huge variety of things for me. I use the notes app like crazy right now, and it's replaced a lot of the stuff that I used to do in docs. For example, I used to have my packing list for my trips in a Word document. Now I just made them in my notes. I just make, so there's this, I take notes of things that later I'll be, or sometimes I'll have a lesson coming up. If it's just a list of things I'm going to teach that day versus like have a whole, like a lesson plan. I used to make my lesson plans in Word. Now I'll just open up notes and I'll make, okay, this is the 5, 10, 15 things, whatever I'm going to cover that day. And I just kind of check them off. That's in my notes app. Now I don't need to make a whole Word thing for it. So I have a lot of stuff in here. It just doesn't go anymore and save itself as a file. When I need to find that notes, I open my notes app and there's all my notes, which I have so many of that I also have to organize. Meaning, if I have 3,000 notes, it makes no sense to have them all next to each other. I have a folder for notes for my classes. I have a folder for packing lists. I have a folder for recipes. Does that make sense? So I used to have all my recipes that I used to have in Word documents. I have now transferred. I still have some old ones like my Thanksgiving files that I've had forever still in Word. At some point I'll transfer everything, but my Notes app has everything now. Why is that useful? Well, because my Notes app I can open up in my computer or in my phone or in my iPad, wherever I am. So when I go to my sister-in-law's for Thanksgiving, I just open my Notes app and I just go to my Thanksgiving folder inside of my Notes app. I do the same thing that I do in here. Okay, so whatever we're going to organize, we do in there and in here. So I go into my Notes app, I go to the folder of recipes and I go to the Thanksgiving folder and I open that up and there I am. I'm able to cook that stuff even if I'm at my sister-in-law. I don't have to worry that I left it back in my computer. Does that make sense? So that's in a way why a lot of this stuff is being replaced. Now, not everything can be replaced. I wouldn't replace Excel. I wouldn't write a novel in my notes app. I probably wouldn't even take minutes in my notes app, although I guess I could. Why not technically? But no, I don't. I just still do the minutes because I take the minutes of at my board actually, and I keep them. In fact, that the board that I'm part of is part of the city college. So in fact, I do use I use Google Docs because SBCC keeps their things in pipeline in the Google Drive, and so I use Google Docs to take the minutes that are part of the board, and then I share them within pipeline to all the people in the board. So it's not like one replaces the other. You just use the one that's appropriate for the moment. Does that make sense? So when I go to find the board minutes, they're not on my computer. I have to go into Pipeline, into the board's folders shared drive, and there I have the minutes for the board that I took those notes in Google Docs. So they're not in my computer because these things reside in the apps that were made, which is the Google apps. So in this case, these are the iCloud Apple apps. these are the Google apps. So if I made it in a Google Docs, then it'll stay in the Google Drive, in the pipeline Google Drive. If I made it in the Notes app, it'll be in my iCloud, in my Apple Cloud. And if I saved it in Photoshop or Pages or Word and I created it in here, then all my tax stuff, for example, that all is saved in my computer. And so, because I use these apps. So then they're all saved in my computer and I organize them that way. Does that make sense, you guys? So these are what we're going to organize right now. All the stuff that's loose and hanging around my computer. Now, give me an honest yes or no. Do you have things in your computer to organize? Or is all your stuff emails or texts or appointments and photos? Do you have it all in the cloud? Like, even though these files are in the cloud, do you have it all in apps? I mean, some people, if you go to the internet to shop, if you go to the internet for your entertainment, if you have your photos in the Photos app, if you're listen to your music on Spotify, then you probably don't create files that need to be organized. Does that make sense? So maybe you don't have files that need to be organized. So if you don't have files that need to be organized that are outside of these apps, then say no. And if you do have files that need to be organized, be they already in the documents folder, or be they on your computer, or be they wherever you have them, then say yes. So I need a yes if you have files to organize. No, nope, you don't have any files that need to be organized. You're totally fine the way that you are. Nothing is littering your desktop. Nothing is littering your document folder. Nothing is littering any other part of your computer as far as you know. So very few of you guys are probably going to say yes, and a lot of you guys are going to say no. No, sorry, the other way around. A few of you guys are going to say no, I don't have files. Most of you guys are going to say yes, especially if you've been using the computer for many, many years. If you just started using a computer, you might be one of the people that's already living in the world of apps and isn't creating so many loose files, so to say. All right, so yes, if you have files to organize, no, if you don't. So Kate and Colette, oh no, Colette answered in the other one there. Okay, Kate and Bob and Patricia. Okay, all right, so I know Julie, and I know that she used to have a lot of files to organize, but she's taken this class and she is now all organized. So it's not that she doesn't have files, it's just that she's organized. Okay, she's followed the rules, not the rules, the suggestions that I lay out, and by following those suggestions, according to her, she's done. I don't know, I haven't seen her computer in a while, but that's what she's saying. Now, Barbara, I do know you do have a lot of files on your computer. Are you saying you're all organized and thus you don't need to organize them when you say no? You're muted, so if you're talking to me, I can't hear you. Just trying to clarify, I'm not
all my files,
contesting it.
other than photos, yes, are on my computer. They're all in folders, and all my photos are on 2 external hard drives. I
Okay.
do have a few photos on my computer because I want to do something with them.
Got it. Now I have a question. Weren't you the one? And I'm just asking, when you shared your screen, don't you have like 12 folders or 24 folders on your desktop?
I have
Someone had
I have
them.
6.
Okay, so that means you still need to put those in the right place, which is not your desktop. If you have anything on your desktop,
Well, I have the photos from the classes I'm taking with you this semester in a folder on my desktop.
okay, so then
I
saying-
actually have 2 of them.
so guys, if you have folders on your desktop, they look organized, which is great. Looking organized is the first step we're going to do. So you're already many steps ahead. But if they're still residing on your desktop, they need to be dragged into the documents folder. And then if you still want to be able to access them quickly, you can drag out an alias onto the desktop. Does that make sense? That's for the people
Yes.
who
Okay, I'll do that.
So then give me a yes, because you need to still switch that. Now,
Okay.
you go into Bridge, you might need to reconnect where those things are. Okay. And if you have some, careful if you have some Lightroom catalogs and stuff like that, you might not, if you have them on your desktop, which they shouldn't be there, you might want to.
No, they're not on my desktop.
All right. Sue, do you not have any files that you've created anywhere, or
I-
are they have them, but they're organized?
No, I have 3 files. I have I have one folder with 3 files in it of knitting patterns, but I remember I'm brand new on the computer, so I did not put stuff on my computer.
That's fine. And where do you have that folder? On your desktop? Okay.
It's in documents, actually.
In your documents. So you're right. Yay, you're actually organized. But as I said, it'll usually be people who are new to their computers or who are living inside of apps. All right. And then Bob, who supports people at the library for this stuff and who has been working on his computer for a long time. And so he's all organized too. So it makes sense. Now, everyone else, even if you've been at it for a while, you still have stuff to do. In fact, if I looked at my screen right now, I would say I would be a no, a yes, that I have things to organize, because as you saw, I still have 4 screenshots on my desktop. Now, then you can decide if that's something that's good or not, what's temporary, what's long-term. But as long as you have anything on your desktop that's not an alias, you have the potential of needing to organize your stuff. Some people might have 250 things, some people might have 3 things, but there's still something that needs to be organized and taken off the desktop. So then you see that there's nothing I could ever leave on my desktop. No, now and then there's a few things you can leave on the desktop. For example, that screenshot that I just took of you guys saying yes or no, that I'm going to leave there temporarily, but at most it'll be there for another week while we're doing this concept, and then I'll trash it. Does that make sense? But if it's going to be a computer that lives in my computer, that should be in the desktop. And if I still need it, then I can bring out an alias. Now, there's some other things we can do for organizations that I'll be teaching you. Aliases is not the end all, but it's the solution that I find for the people who insist, nope, I need my things on the desktop. So people who keep saying, no matter what else you've taught me, some of you guys have never been here, so I haven't shown you. There's plan B, C, and D. There's many other plans, not that one. But some people say that the only way they can find things if it's on their desktop. If you are that person, then the solution is the alias that I just showed you. Okay. Then you go back to having the computer looking just like it was, only it's an alias instead of the actual folder because the folder is in the right place. That's good. You can do that. I'm going to show you 3 other options, and you might discover that one of those 3 other options is another option that you might want to adopt and use. But for now, this is kind of the equivalent, exactly the same as you're doing, only it's an alias instead of the actual thing. All right. Now, so what I mean all this is done with apps. Well, if you take a picture with your phone and your phone sends it to the cloud and the cloud sends it to your Photos app, then you don't have any photos hanging around. But if you are of the old school where for years and years and years we had to download our photos into our computer and then we had to organize them, and we would organize them by dates or give them file names and whatever, you might still have a lot of that hanging around. If so, there's somewhere in your computer, maybe they're in your documents folder, maybe they're in your pictures folder. We're going to research that. Then you have to choose between putting them in the Photos app or leaving them outside of the Photos app and creating a folder for them in this file organization system, but in the documents folder, not in the pictures folder. And I'll tell you why. Now, Carol said, well, how do you know they're in the Photos app? We're going to go ahead and do that minorly in this class, but in the Photos class, this is the Living the iLife class, I teach you majorly how to do that, how to find the stuff and see what's in the Photos app, okay? But for us, we're going to do it only in the mode called, let's put it in the Photos app and let's check if it got there. That's all we're going to do, but we're not going to go and reorganize our photos. That is the Photos class, okay? Now, and this is crucial for those of you who have photos hanging out in your computer. Once you put them in the Photos app, you need to also delete them from where they were in the computer, because when you put them in the Photos app, they don't get sucked out of your computer. A copy gets made into your Photos app, then you need to go and delete the one from your computer, because otherwise you have it twice, and then your computer starts getting 100,000 photos. Twice is a lot of photos to have twice. If it's only 5 photos that you have twice, well, then you go, well, was this here? Was this there? I'm not sure. Well, once you drag it and put it in the Photos app and you immediately delete it from your computer, then there's no confusion. What's in your computer is still in your computer. What's in your Photos app is in your Photos app. And there's no twos that you never know where they are. So that's the way around that one. Same with videos. Now, this is videos that you took on your phone, videos and photos that you took on your phone or that you took on your cameras. This isn't videos of movies that you're watching. So I'm going to add in here movies or TV shows. Hold on. To distinguish it, movies or TV shows in streaming apps. Okay. So let me see what how many of you guys here remember going to Blockbuster or those kind of things and renting a video? Yeah, let me actually clean. Because of the age range that I'm seeing, I believe all of us have done it, unless even then we had TV or cable, but I never had TV or cable in those times. So the only way I could watch a movie was going and renting a video at one of those stores because I didn't watch any other way. But the whole point is that, hi, Justine, nice to see you. So then when we shifted from going to the store to rent a movie and we started being able to watch it at home, sometimes we would go to like some of people had memberships in like Netflix, for example, and they would send you a DVD and you'd watch a movie and you'd send it back. So I don't know if you guys went through that. And then you began to discover that you could watch these things online. And so some people would download movies. And that's what I'm talking about. At that time, I don't know how many years ago now, we would have to download a movie from an app, maybe Netflix, maybe, I don't know, Disney, and I don't know what, many different places. But you would have to download it into your computer to watch it. And that, if any of you guys still has any of these old movies that you downloaded a long time ago, those take up ridiculous amounts of space. So we're going to check and see if you have any of those, because those, if you didn't delete them after you downloaded them, they stayed there taking up a ton of space. And then this time started where now they stream. So if you have a Netflix or a Disney or an HBO or I don't know, all these different brand names, I guess Marvel, I don't know, whatever is that you pay a monthly fee to, now you just click a button in the app that you own. And your computer should have a Netflix app or a HBO app or a Disney app or whatever brand you're paying for. You just open that app and you click on a movie and you watch it streaming. So it doesn't download into your computer anymore. Okay. So it doesn't need to be organized because you just watch it streaming, meaning you see it through Wi-Fi like we used to watch a TV before that it never got into your computer. You just saw it. The only difference is you can choose when to see it, but it's like TV in that it stays, you see it through your computer, but it stays away from your computer. Okay, so that's why now movies and TV shows are done in apps, but we are going to check in case you have some downloaded movies from the time when we had to download them and that those are taking up computer space because that's about as big a file as you can ever get that's a mess, okay, to getting those. Same with emails. You go to your email, you receive an email, you write an email, you send an email. If you want to find that email again, you have to go to your email app to find that email. Now, once you have 10,000 emails or 100,000 emails and you're keeping them, if you're not deleting them, you better start organizing them. Again, how do you organize them? In files and folders. They're called mailboxes, but it's the same thing. You make a mailbox for the mails from your family or a mailbox from the mails from your accountant if you have one or something like that. So you still have to organize them. So everything that we're going to learn for organizing for these files applies to organizing anything that you don't throw away from your emails app. Does that make sense? You make a folder, and the same thing with your photos. When you take my photos class, I'll show you how to make folders to put away the photos of your daughter's wedding and the trip to Paris and whatever. So you make folders. Otherwise, you just have 100,000 photos strewn all over. So everything is about the same process of organization that we're going to do for this applies to any of these things. Does that make sense? And in Mac level 2, when we start working on these apps, That's what we do in Mac level 2. Then you'll see how you can organize these things into folders and stuff like that. Text is the only thing you don't organize into photos. Texts come already divided by who sends them to you, and they stay there and they kind of roll through. So if you want an old text, you have to scroll back to 2 months ago. Basically, that doesn't happen, right? They're more appropriate for quick, hey, I'll see you in 20 minutes, or I'm heading there, or that kind of thing. But if you need to send information that needs to be like found and saved and remembered, you shouldn't send it as a text. You should send it as an email that can be found, or you have to download it if they've sent you an attachment. Okay, so if they sent you a form to fill out as a text, you got to download it. What happens when you download it? It ends up here. Okay, it ends up being a file. It's usually a PDF. What happens when someone emails you a form you need to fill out and you download it? It ends up here. Okay, so one thing we're going to add to this, which is very important, is all downloads end up as documents/files, because it's the same meaning, the same word. And you need end up in the downloads folder. They need to be organized. So if you want to keep them, put them in the documents folder. If you don't need it anymore, then move it to the trash. So this is what we're going to do with all our downloads. We're going to go visit our downloads folder. Some people will find 10 things. Some people will find 100 things. Some people will find 1,000 things in their downloads folder, which is everything that's ever come from the internet or from emails or from texts. Okay, anything that everyone has ever sent you or that you have chosen to download is in your downloads folder. If you want it because it's appropriate to keep, move it to the documents folder. If it was temporary, you're done. You already attended that party. You already filled out that form. You don't need it anymore. Then you are going to move it to the trash. But we're going to try to keep a clean downloads folder so that it's basically the inbox. And when it arrives, you send it where it needs to go. Sometimes you have an invitation to an event that's happening in 2 weeks. Well, you don't want to keep that forever and ever in your documents folder. So keep it in your downloads folder for 2 weeks. When the event is over and you've gone, have you attended it? You move it to the trash. Does that make sense? So the downloads folder should be a temporary in and out. But if it's something that got sent to you, like the manual for your dishwasher, well, you want to keep that until you get rid of that dishwasher, which is hopefully in many years. So yeah, that goes into your documents folder under a folder called manuals, for example. Does that make sense? Because now the manuals don't come in a little book anymore. They come and you can have to download it. Okay. So the downloads could be a form that you're going to fill out each session to register for this class. Well, then keep it in the documents folder in a folder called SBCC registration and keep that form there. And you fill it out every session instead of having to go every session to somewhere and find out that registration form. It's the same one every session. Keep it in your documents folder. If instead you get sent a form that you fill out once to say get your passports, you download a form, you fill it out and you send it. Well, you're not going to get a passport for the next 10 years. Then trash that form. Does that make sense, you guys? It's like your choice, but the downloads should be temporary, which are that you're still using, or it should be empty. So we're going to start by looking at our desktop, our downloads, and lastly, our documents folder. Okay, so that we can organize these things. And as I said, these things partly come from these apps. If you got an email and you downloaded something, if it's a photo, you should download it straight into your phone Photos app from your email. If it's a document, usually it comes in PDF form. And if it's a PDF, it means that it was created in one of these documents. And instead of being saved as a doc or XCLX or numbers. It was saved as a PDF. So what's a PDF? And this is very, what's a PDF? PDFs.
Permanent documents
Like
folder?
a document, only a different format.
Portable document file, and it is they have been created in one or another app and then saved as PDFs. Why? So that everyone can view them. Okay, so let me explain that. Say that Philip writes a letter in in Word, and it's a DOCX, and he sends it to Bob. Well, what if Bob never purchased Word? He doesn't have Word. He can't read Philip's email. Does that make Philip's letter? Does that make sense? Because you need to pay for these things. You need to own them. And just because one person has it doesn't mean that the other person has it in their computer. Now, if you have an Apple and you own Pages, you could open that doc created in Word and Pages. You could do that. But back and forth, certain things are done or not. If I have a PSD created in Photoshop and you don't own Photoshop, how many people in this class own Photoshop? If I were to send you a Photoshop document, PSD, you would never be able to open it. Maybe Barbara could open it because she owns Photoshop, right? So if I want everyone to open that thing that I created in Photoshop or in Word or in Excel, I would have to save it in all of these apps. You can always save as a PDF. And that is a universal format. Everyone can open up a PDF, no matter what type of computer, how old it is, how new it is, no matter that you own, that you only have your phone in your hand and not your computer. Everyone can click on a PDF and see it. All devices are made to be able to view a PDF. What they can't do is change it. So it's like someone hands you a flyer, and that's what a PDF is. It's like a flyer. If you want, you can write on it with a marker, right? But you can't change it. If there's a typo in that flyer, can you change that typo in that flyer?
No.
Right? So a PDF,
Uh,
it's the same as a flyer. You get given an invitation to a wedding. That's a PDF. Like, you don't change it, right? But you can read it. You can view it. So that's a PDF. So all of these apps ultimately have, and more, as I said, all the Adobe, Tax, Quicken. Someone asked about Quicken. Quicken is an app that handles financial information, and you would end up with a file that you could probably also, everything that's here could be saved as PDFs. Ultimately, all your bank statements that I tell you that I go to the bank to download my bank statement, and what format does it come down in? It comes down as a PDF, because that's what the bank knows that I'll be able to read. If I go to do my Edison to figure out my electric bill and I want to download it, my kids, when they went to school, you had to prove you lived here. I had to download a gas bill. I had to download an electric bill so they would see. How do I download it from their sites? They send me a PDF. So we have a ton of PDFs in our downloads always, okay? Because the registration file that I send you guys to register, it downloads as a PDF. The manual for your dishwater, it downloads as a PDF. So everything, no matter where it was created, for the most part, downloads as a PDF, unless it's a photo. But and many times even photos get downloaded as PDFs. Okay, so PDFs is the universal format. So you can have files of every type and kind under the world could be a PDF. It's not a type of file. It's a format that, imagine it's a flyer that it's unadjustable by the receiver. It's just to be viewed by the receiver. Okay, so everyone can view that file. Okay, if you need to make any changes because someone says, hey, your invitation had a typo, well, then the person who created it in Docs has to open, in Word, has to open it in Word, change that typo, save it again, and send it again as a PDF with a correction for others to view it with a new correction in it. Okay? So it's the final file, so to say. It's a format that you don't work on beyond receiving it and seeing it. Okay. So I can save an email that someone sent me that I want to keep because I want it to be permanently there. I can save it as a PDF and save it over here, and then I can stash it in a folder. So say that I got a message from someone that maybe the doctor sends you information of how you need to treat your wound or something. Well, you wouldn't want to leave it in email form because that's after some point it's hard to find. Well, you can download those instructions as a PDF, and then you can stash them in a folder called Health for knowing how to always maybe it's not a wound is a temporary thing, but maybe you have exercise that you need to do to rehabilitate your shoulder, for example. Okay, you save it as a PDF and you put it in your documents, and then you can access it whenever you want. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
Now that we've had the whole like how to and what and why, now what we're going to do is we're going to begin to do it. Okay, so if you have any more questions about the what and why, and oh God, I stopped the share. I do hope I didn't get rid of the, oh, phew, phew. I was worried for a second that I had lost, that I had actually lost the whiteboard. No. So let me go ahead and put that down there again. I'm going to do a screenshot, and then I'm going to save this one as a PDF, by the way, not the screenshot, but I'm going to save it as a PDF after the class. And once I save it as a PDF, I'm going to put it in our class handouts. Okay. So are we ready to start working on our files? Many times we just start working on our files and then I talk about organization. This time I tried to explain the situation first. Now, hands-on. I'm going to start by sharing my computer, and I'm going to start by going to my downloads folder. And the downloads folder is easy because it's either keep or get rid of, keep or get rid of. But there might be files that you don't know what to do with.
I
So
don't
how do
see
I
them.
get my downloads folder? I'm going to open my Finder window.
Okay.
And I'm going to go to the downloads. And here I am in my downloads. Now we're going to talk about how we're seeing it, if it's just like mine, different than mine, all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about your downloads. But first of all, give me a yes if you open a Finder window and you're in your downloads folder. And remember that this time, let's get rid of any other apps that we have open. We don't need any other apps open. We just need the Finder windows. We're just organizing stuff. So if you have anything else open, please right click and quit. Like I don't need my calendar, right click and quit. If you don't need Safari, right click and quit. Like, right, whatever's open. I'm going to leave them open because I keep giving you examples from here and I need it. And in fact, I need the calendar open because I need to check on the time to make sure that this doesn't go over kind of thing. But that said, no one else should have anything open. Okay. So yes, if you're in your downloads folder. So Kate, Barbara, Philip, Yolanda, are you in your downloads folder? Carol Gear, do you find your downloads folder? I know that you have a bit of a mess going there, Carol, and I am gonna give you a bit of a hand there, but. Okay, Kate, not sure with the Zoom if you can hear me, but give me yeses. All right. Downloads folder. Now, as we said before, you might be looking at it as icons mode, which gives us very little information. You might be in list view, you might be in you might be in something else. Make sure to be in list view. But even when you're in list view, it might or not be in this mode. Notice that I'm saying previous 7 days, previous 30 days, April, March. That is a choice I've made that I don't use for any other folder, right? For documents, for everything else. I want it all to be easy to alphabetical order or whatever. But the downloads folder, I just told you, is things that come in from outside your computer. So if I just received it in the previous 7 days, it's probably something that I just downloaded. So I might need it more. If I start going down, I might find that I have things downloaded, and look, I still have things from 2023. But I have things in my downloads in 2023. Like I've just told you that things should be either trashed or put in the documents folder, right? Well, guess what? Mine is a sample computer, so I'm always leaving it kind of the way that people leave, need it from the beginning. But the important thing is, how many things do you have? And over here, it tells me that I have 159 items. Well, 159 items, please go down to the bottom of your downloads folder and write in the chat how many items you have in your downloads folder. So everyone go to the chat and say 159 or say 159 or say 2005 or say 23 or say none. See, Julie's taken my class and she's a good follower of suggestions. 3. Okay.
Took me a while to figure it out, but I followed it.
At the bottom of the page, it tells you.
At the bottom of the page, if you have turned on your status bar that we turned on the other day, you would
Oh, I
see
have my mic on.
159 items. Well, you would see however many you have. 107 says Carol, back to 1970. You mean the year 1970? We're going to talk about that. Yeah, because there's no question that you didn't download something in 1970, but sometimes files come in with weird schedules. We're going to talk about that. But okay. Now, let me just show you something else, guys. Truly, in this folder, I have, when I open it, I have another folder with more folders, with more files. So if I really pay attention, in this one folder that counts as 1, I probably have another 200 things in there. Does that make sense? So really in my downloads folder, I probably have, 5,000 things because I have a lot of folders of stuff. See what I mean? So all I'm saying is most of the times, if they're individual things, that number is correct. But if you've downloaded folders, if you're in one of my classes and you've downloaded all my Photoshop files, well, you've downloaded 20 or 30 files. So that folder has more stuff. Does that make sense? But right now, we're okay. We go with that number. So I'm seeing 80, 43, 209. If you have a really big number, don't hesitate to put it in there. But right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 answers, and there's more than 7 people here. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to clear your answers now. If you see the number that you have in your downloads, please put it in the chat and then give me a yes. Like, yeah, I put it in the chat. And if you didn't put it in the chat, I'll help you figure it out. Okay? So 75. If you put the number in the chat, give me a yes. If you didn't put the number in the chat yet, then don't give me a yes and I'll help you find it. So Diane, anyone who hasn't yet written in the chat, I can help you find it. So tell me what you need for me to help you find this number. Diane says 555. I like that number, very round number. Okay, so Diane, you can give me a yes now. Kate, are you there? Barbara, give me a yes because you already did it. Carol, give me a yes because you did it. And Bob, okay. All right. So now you've been writing all your numbers. Okay. Now, how do you see these downloads the way I'm seeing them versus row? So what do I mean by in a row? My documents file, if I look at my documents file, they're by default in alphabetical order. A, B, C, F, I, L, like that's how my documents are being saved. At the very top of my documents, I have numbers because it's alphanumeric. So 2, 8, A, and so on, it goes on, right? So that's the default way that the list view is going to show. But in my downloads, in order to be able to immediately go and deal with my old ones, I have another choice made, which is over to the right here, to the right of my views. Okay, so over here, I have something called group. If I click on that, I have selected date added. What happens if I select none? Then it's all by alphabetical order. So first I have the numbers, right? I mean, go to the C. I have the C, I want them by name. Why is Rocket in the front? Oh, because these have a space. Oh, something I hadn't said is that when you have a space in front, that counts as before numbers. So right here, when that name was written in the rocket, I'm gonna teach you how to change this, but if I change this name, I rename it, it has a little space in front. If I take that little space out, now it's gonna go down and stash itself. See how it disappeared? Because now if I go to the R's, that rocket is in the R's. See that? So sometimes you might have written something wrong or whatever, and you have it ahead of the numbers. But other than that, here, start the numbers, all the numbers, then A, then B, then C. So for the downloads folder, this is a little bit harder because I don't know if this is new or if it's old. I don't know if this is new or if it's old. I would have to go over here, see the size. I'm going to show you now how to see the size, what kind of file it is, and what date it was added. And what I discover is that I have things from many different years. So for the downloads folder only, I recommend choosing group, going to the date added. So now I can see the latest things I've downloaded, previous 30 days, March, July, February, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So once you have done that to your downloads folder, and I'm going to clear your answers, clear your feedback. Once you have done this to your downloads folder, okay, I went to group and date added, give me a yes.
Deanna, since I don't have anything in there and I just put, the date added.
Yeah.
If in the future, when I download something, it'll be date added, right?
It'll be under the previous 7 days. Once it's there for more than 30 days, it'll be showing up under previous 30 days. The organization will stay. You don't need to change it. Unless you become so good about things that you always have 2 or 3 things only, in which case, who cares how organized they are, because you only have 2 or 3 things. You'll see them and you'll immediately do what I am preaching, which is once you download it, deal with it, right? In which case you would only have 3, 10, 5, 1 file, in which case you don't care about this part. But once you have, 80, 43, 500, 200, which is the numbers I've been seeing in my case, then this makes it much easier to handle. Now, one thing that I want you all to turn on is the size. See how I see the sizes on mine? Now, size is how much place it occupies in your screen, in your computer, I'm sorry. So that we need to turn on from somewhere else. So let's go over to view, but from the top, not this little view, but it's a whole nother view. It's this one here. And let's say show view options. View, show view options. Once everyone gets there, you will see this little window is going to pop up. So view, show view options, which now is saying hide because I'm seeing it, right? So I'm going to say view, show view options, and this little window will pop up. So give me a yes if you're seeing your show view options. If you're seeing this little thing, and I'm going to reshare it so you can, no, it's just a little pop-up, so it won't.
Diana,
Yes.
in my view option, I only show 2 things, show participants and show chat.
So what you're doing is you're saying the show, you're doing the view of your Zoom window. So click somewhere on your desktop.
Somewhere on my desktop.
You need to see that it says Apple Finder. And if it says Finder somewhere on your desktop, as soon as you click on your desktop or on your Finder window, it'll say Finder, then that's the view that you need, because each view belongs to each app. So this is the view for the Finder, and now you'll find the show view options.
There's nothing, no other view.
Okay. You see Finder next to your Apple? Does it say Finder?
Find the app, that the twin, I see the twin, I click it.
Okay, So if it doesn't show any view to add, it's because you're not seeing your Finder window. So open a Finder window
Open a Finder
on your downloads, and then you will see view, show view options.
I keep on clicking on the Finder and it doesn't.
All right, so then share your screen. Go ahead and share your screen and I'll help you. I want yeses for everyone who is seeing the show view options. Otherwise, I need you to speak up like Yolanda is so that I can help you find it, okay? So let's see what's happening. Okay, so right now, I need you to move this downloads window a bit more central because you won't be able to organize things if you can't see them. So this downloads window, you need to click on it. Yeah, so right here, this is your Finder window that's showing your downloads window. Do you
I'm
have
sorry.
ID?
Okay. So this one, what do I do with
I
this?
need you to move it over so that we can see it. See how most of it is hiding? Yeah, you move it from like, yeah, there we go. Finally. Okay, good. Now, up here where it says view, and I'm hiding it with my pink, but right there, way at the top. So move your mouse now. Yeah, that view. Yeah, there we go. Click on that. And here we go. Show view options.
Show view.
Show view options. So go down, 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 down to show.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, I'm very sorry. This one, I click it twice.
Yeah, once, simply once. Okay, now everyone, watch. I'm going to keep hers handy. And she already has it turned on. See how there's a calculate all sizes here? She has taken this class before. And see how you can see all the sizes on hers? You need to turn this little check mark on so that it calculates all sizes for the downloads window. See that? Up there it says downloads. Now, click on use as defaults.
Oh,
Click on use as defaults. Yeah, so you kind of seal that the downloads window will always show you the sizes. Does that make sense?
what am I supposed to see?
No, you're fine. I'm just telling everyone what to do. You already had it turned on, so you're good. You've probably done this in another class with mine, but this one doesn't come turned on automatically. So if you find it turned on, it's because you've already done this. If you find it unclicked, please check on it, okay? Now,
Diane, will it stay when I open other?
no, this is for the downloads window.
Just this download window.
So if you want this to be on others, we need to do it to each window. But for now, I want to make sure that everyone sees that right now she has it set up in always open in list view, browse in list view, okay? And then down here, she has turned on the date added, which is that thing that we had turned on before in group. You can turn it on here too, right? So that it's always downloads windows are going to be organized in by date added and to calculate all the sizes. Now, when it says relative dates, that's got to do, instead of saying today is July 15th, when something happened yesterday, it'll say yesterday instead of July 14th. It does that, and that's all. That's kind of what relative dates means. Instead of saying July 14th, it'll say yesterday, something like that, I think is what that, I think it doesn't go further than that. Anyway, so, and then here you can decide if you want to make it bigger or smaller too. So people who in the past, you wanted to know how to make something to see it bigger, here you can choose to have this window, the downloads window, show in a bigger font size, for example. So you might want to downloads to show in size 14. This is where you can make that kind of choices, okay? So you can also, whoops. I'm going to stop your share because you're good now. Anyone else? Carol, do you want to share your screen?
I followed everything, but should I have uses defaults on or off? From the last one you opened.
The
one that you ran her through.
Yeah, go ahead and say use as defaults. That way it always has.
It's okay, it's there. It's bright. I didn't know. On hers it was.
She already has them on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Okay.
show you mine right now. And I share my window. When I go to mine, hold on, it's hiding under my Zoom stuff. I need to move it out of the way. Here we go. So this one here, look at the sizes of stuff. The
Yeah.
difference is like, calculate, see here that it doesn't have a number? That's because it's a folder. And so by default, even if I say size, the folder doesn't show you the size of what's in there. Look what's going to happen when I say calculate all sizes. Now it's telling me that that folder has 2.7 gigabytes. So I know there's like ridiculous amounts of stuff in there, for example. And so that's the difference between just calculating size and calculating all sizes. So if you had no folders, you might not notice much difference. If you didn't have size turned on, then you wouldn't have seen the sizes. But if you have calculate all sizes, it'll also tell you how much is inside each folder. I'm going to go ahead and I have it in text size 16 so that it's a bit bigger because I want to be able to show it to you guys that I'm teaching. And I have it by date added. So now I'm going to say use as defaults. Now, within the day, within the previous 30 days, so it's grouped by date added, but it's sorted by name. So in previous 30 days, they're all sorted by name. So A through T, C through U. You see that? So within the previous 7 days, it's alphabetical order. Previous 30 days, it's alphabetical order. If I wanted to have them also by date added, then I could have even the previous 30 days mixed in whatever date added, but I'm fine with it being, once they're in there, being by name. So this just lets you see how you're going to see the downloads window, just the downloads window. And then I'm going to click on use as defaults and I can close this. And now I'm seeing it in a way that makes it easier to organize, and especially for those of you who have a bunch of stuff. So Carol says your entire list says August 6, 1970. Something happened there in the transfer. We'll figure it out. But now I'll have you share your screen in a minute. But now I'm going to go to the very bottom of all my 159 things. And I'm going to see that I have things from 2023 here downloaded, which, as I said, I'm keeping here as a sample. Every time I teach I get rid of a few. But the whole point is they shouldn't be in the downloads folder. If I'm going to be using this photo and I got it in 2023, why is it in the downloads folder? It should either be in the Photos app or in my documents in whatever brochure or thing that I was using for the kitty photo. Or no, I don't need that anymore. Right click, move to trash. Okay. So now that's what we're going to do. We're going to begin to figure out what these things are. I would rather start from the very bottom because these I know are my really old ones. Does that make sense? And yes, you can deal with the new ones because you remember them better. But if you start from the bottom, you start getting rid of a lot of junk that's sitting there that's unnecessary. So if I click on this one and I go, oh, this is 23. What is this? I can hit my space bar and it shows me, oh, that's that project that I began that I don't need anymore. Yeah, this was trash or whatever. I'm going to right click and I'm going to move it to the trash. And it's out of there. Now, is it gone, completely gone and lost forever? If I
No,
move it to the
that's
trash,
right.
for people who are worried about moving things to the trash,
No, you can take it back out of the trash.
exactly. I can open my trash, which see is full of stuff. And again, I left a very full trash for this class. Normally my trash isn't very full. And here I go. Now I've opened a window and this is all my trash. Once again, I could organize it by date added if I want to see when I last added these things to the trash. For the trash, that might be useful too. And I discovered that there we go. I just added this family PowerPoint to the trash. So if it was a mistake, I can either drag it out again, literally put it back in the downloads. That's all I need to do. Boom, put it back in the downloads. I didn't need to do that. Or better yet, I could, what if it came from inside of the recipes, soups, documents, whatever, and I don't remember where it went. I can just right click and say put back. and it gets put back from wherever I took it out of. Now, it was very easy. I took this out of the download, so I can just put it straight back. But what if I had taken it out of some very concerted, organized place, and it was just like, well, I don't make that recipe anymore. And then I go, just in case, I'm going to keep it. Let me just, I'm going to alter, instead of putting so much salt, I'll put this in it. I'll keep it. By saying put back, it puts itself back in the folder that you took it out of. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, Philip.
Oh, how do you, I have a trackpad on my laptop. How do I right click?
Okay, so the right click is 2 fingers down. Ding, ding. Here I have a little example trackpad. It's hard to see. Just 2 fingers, ding, at the same time.
Okay, and then anywhere in the trackpad?
Yeah, your mouse has to be pointing to the right thing, okay? And then 2 fingers down. And see how that was the right click? Okay, 2 fingers down. So, okay?
Okay, so just 2 fingers tap
Fingers
it.
down at the same time. Now, if that isn't working, then we need to enable it in your system preferences. So does 2 fingers down work for you?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay, there you go. So same with the trash, right? I have a bunch of stuff that I've been saving here forever. But the most I have in the trash is previous 30 days. Why? Because I have that thing turned on that says that if it's older than 30 days, it should disappear. So you can come in here and delete all this stuff. And I actually just made a cleanup the other day of stuff when I messed up all of my folders for this class, and I dumped a bunch of things, and that's why there's so much in my trash. But none of it is older than 30 days. That's the most I have in my trash, which is previous 30 days, because I have turned on that feature, which I showed you in Intro to the Mac, to have the trash empty itself out. If something has been there 30 days, it goes away. So this previous 30 days, this I trashed in July 1st. So August 1st, this thing is going to disappear from my trash. Okay.
Why would you keep your trash?
Exactly. Only because if you're in the middle of organizing and you're not totally sure that what you did was correct, then you can still check it. But I would recommend that your trash should be always emptied out.
Yeah.
So when you're done, if you're wondering, because you did a bunch of stuff and you're moving and organizing, maybe keep your trash open. And then once you're done and you do a quick little once over looking at your trash and you're sure that that you didn't trash anything you wanted, then you empty your trash. Boom. Then it's gone from your computer forever. But just putting things in the trash right now, say I right click and move this to the trash, it's still occupying all that space in my computer. It's just been moved to a different folder, so to say. And this folder is called trash. If on the other hand, I know for sure that I don't need this anymore and it's humongous. Look at how many megabytes it is. I just put it in the trash. I don't want to empty my whole trash yet because I'm not sure. I just need to check it for whatever reason. I can just right click on this one, which is huge, and I say, well, delete this one immediately. Boom. Delete immediately.
Does the trash really go away or does it go in another part of the computer?
What you put in the trash doesn't go away. It's when you delete and empty your trash that it really goes away. So now if this is the video of last Wednesday's digital design technique class. I've already uploaded it to the YouTube. I don't need it anymore, and it's occupying huge amounts of megabytes. So I'm going to right click, put it in the trash. I already did that, but it's going to sit here for 30 days. Do I want it 30 days in here? No. But since I'm teaching you about the trash, do I want to empty my trash right now? Which I could right clicking on this little empty button. Do I want to empty it right now? No, I have 294 things in here. Do I need them? No. So these are all empty folders from Zoom that I don't need a single one of these. I'm going to select them all and I can delete them right now. So I'm going to teach you in it. So right now, this one for sure I don't need anymore. So I'm going to right click, delete immediately. Boom. Are you sure you want to delete it? It'll be deleted immediately and you cannot undo this action. Yeah. Delete immediately. Boom. It's gone. Okay, so I can do it to many at a time. If you're in your trash and you're sure that these are for sure not going to be done, I can click on the top one, hold the shift key, click on the bottom one. Now I'm going to delete all of these at the same time. So if you guys are in your trash and there's stuff that you know
All those folders?
They're all, yeah, Zoom makes folders with your guys' chats. Every time I finish a class,
Oh,
and I'm done with the chats. I don't need them anymore. I put them in the trash. Now I'm gonna not ready to take my whole trash out by hitting empty. It empties everything. I would delete all my trash right now, but since I'm teaching and I need some things that are old, I'm not going to, because these ones I delete them, they're gone. So I'm gonna right click and say delete immediately. And are you sure you want to delete this? Yeah, delete. Boom, they're gone. I have so many more, it doesn't matter right now, okay? But I want you guys to look at your trash, and if you're sure that this stuff is something that you don't need, then delete it immediately. Here I have four videos. These videos are from ends of June and July. Go to the math classes videos. They take up inordinate amounts of space. So watch, you guys. This file, it's a screenshot, takes 2 megabytes of space. Okay, you have no idea what 2 megabytes is. It's like if I were talking in centimeters, many of you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but 2 megabytes of space is small-ish. This is 1.9 megabytes is even smaller. 1.2 megabytes is even smaller. 27 megabytes, okay, obviously it's bigger. But then suddenly we get to 700 megabytes, and it's still smaller than 1.39. Here's like 1.9 is small, but 1.39 megabytes or 700 megabytes is 700 times bigger than one of those. This is gigabytes. Gigabytes is like,
Huge.
it's like saying 1,390 megabytes, okay? Because it takes 1,000 megabytes to make 1 gigabyte. So it's like saying this is 700 inches and this is, 700 feet or whatever, which is much bigger than 700 inches, but
Think of it as mini and giant.
yeah, so 700 inches, and this is like a 72 feet. Clearly 72 feet is much more than 700 inches, but it looks like the number is smaller. It's just that it's a huge number, right? So 1.39 gigabytes is like 1,309 gigabytes. It's like 1,510 gigabytes. So deleting these is going to delete much more than that. And guess what? This will sit for 30 days in here. Or if you don't have that feature turned on, it can sit for years in my trash. So I'm going to select, click, shift, select all these videos. And that's 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 gigabytes. That's 6,000 megabytes that I'm getting rid of with these 4. It would take many of these to get rid of 6,000 megabytes. These are only 6,000 of these to get rid of as much as I'm getting rid of here. So I'm going to right click, delete these immediately. And already my computer is like, oh, I just got rid of 6,000 gigabytes of space. Makes sense? And they had been there for about 30 days already. Whoops. So I want you guys to empty your trash as much as you can. If you're not 100% sure about it, you can check it a little bit. But here's the problem. If you try to check this one, how am I going to check it? Well, hit the space bar and it'll open up and it'll be like, oh yeah, no, I don't need that one. You can delete it. But I'm going to trust that your trash is good. I would rather just empty the trash, but if you don't trust that, then go ahead and check them. But I do want you to do that to all the stuff that's in your download folder. I want you guys to start checking. So how do we check? I'm going to go to the oldest stuff and I'll go, well, do I need this or do I not need this? I'm going to hit the space bar. Oh, that's what that was. Of course I need this. Okay, then I'm going to drag it and put it in my documents folder. See how I did it? I just dragged it. So I want you guys to start doing that. Now, how about this one? This is a very important document. Let me see. I sit bar and it's a sample and it says this is a very important document. Wow, what's it doing in my downloads? It's a very important document. I'm going to drag it and put it in my documents. Does that make sense, you guys? Then I'm going to get to this one and it'll be like, oh, that one. Oh, that's an old participants. I don't need that one. Okay, right click, move to trash. So I am beginning to organize and get rid of all the stuff that's in my, and I move this one to trash. Good. How about this one? Oh no, quarterly sales. What's it doing there? I need that. Drag it to the documents. We will then organize the documents, but right now what we're organizing is our downloads. We're getting rid of all the junk. Move to trash if I don't need it. Move to trash if I don't need it. And and move to I'm going to delete that one, but I'm going to homework between here and Thursday. You have one homework. One. You have to empty your downloads folder as much as possible. What do I mean by as much as possible?
Well, that's easy.
Either put it in the documents folder or you trash it. And then you will have maybe 5, 4, 3 files that you don't know what to do with because you don't even understand what extension it is. You don't understand what it could be. Those you leave there, and on Thursday morning you have a list of 3 files that you don't know what to do with, or 4 files that you know to do with. Now that's going to be easier for someone who has 50 files in their downloads folder. But for those of you who have 555, you might go, really? Just between here and Thursday? And I'm like, it's okay. You can keep working on it over the weekend, but at least get rid of like 100 things. You know what I mean? We got to start somewhere, because once all the stuff has been put together in the documents folder, then we can start organizing our documents folder, which is where we said is where we want to keep all this stuff. Now, for those of you who have only a few things, because you've already organized, then your job is to do that same work with the desktop, with the documents, like keep organizing. But for the real homework for most of you guys is empty out your downloads and your trash, okay? And keep only in the downloads those things that you don't know what to do with, because what's this? Or it's an invitation for something for 2 weeks from now that in 2 weeks you'll delete. You don't want to put in your permanent files, but you're not ready to get rid of it yet. Does that make sense? Because in 2 weeks you'll need to know where to go. So that is a great transition place to leave it in your downloads folder. And then after 2 weeks, when you've gone to the event, and that's an example, you go back and you go, oh, been there, done that, and you can trash it. Okay. So the downloads folder should only have a few things that are rightfully there or that you have no idea what to do with. And then we'll talk about what those files are. Once again, how do you find out what this is? You select it and you hit the space bar. It shows you a preview and you go, oh, that's what this is. Okay, no, I definitely need this one. I'm going to put this one in the documents folder. And then you get to one that doesn't work. You get to a folder and you hit the space bar, and all it shows you is a folder. Because space bar folder just shows you a folder. So how do you know what's inside of that? Well, you have to double click, open it up, and then you go, let me see what's in there. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's not good. That's not good. But then you have to go back to your downloads and then keep going. So that was a whole bunch of files. Oh, I need those. I don't need those. Okay, I'm going to put them in the documents folder, or I'm going to trash them. And in this case, I'm going to move them to the trash because I don't need them anymore. Okay. Now, and this is very, 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 very important. As I'm talking, you should be working. You should be hitting the space bar, and then you should be telling me if that's working or not. You should be looking at the stuff in your downloads folder. I'm going to clear your feedback. Diana, I see that your hand up. It's going to disappear now because I'm clearing feedback, but I will call on you in a second. So other than Diane, everyone else, raise your hand if you are able to hit the space bar, see what it is, right? Go, oh, okay, that's good. Hit the space bar again, and then do something with it. In this case, I'm going to put it in the documents folder. Now, am I organizing it yet? No. At this point, if you are the kind of person who has good organized folders in your documents folder, you can put them in the right place. Right now, all I want is for you to put them in the documents folder. And same thing with your desktop. If it's stuff that really, really you swear needs to stay in your desktop, then keep it there. We're going to talk about that. But if you think, oh, okay, I'll just put my documents folder and I'm going to organize it from the documents folder, then we're going to do a big old humongous organization of our documents folder. Right now, it's all landing in there. Now, I know there's people who have issues. Diane had her hand up. I'm gonna call on her first, even though Bob and Colette have raised your hands. Diane was there first. And Carol, raise your hand because I need to help you with your documents folder as well. All right, so start working. I'm going to start taking questions. Where was you, Diane? Yes, where are you? There you are.
Okay, so I followed your directions. As far as the date was concerned, but the dates on mine are little calendars. I don't really see the date.
All right, so share your screen to see what you're talking about because
Oh dear, I don't know if I remember how to do
okay,
that.
but I will walk you through it. So do you see your Zoom?
There,
Share and then share again. The under at the bottom. There you go. Perfect. All right. So let's see what you mean by seeing a little calendar.
all these guys.
Oh, that's a little icon that tells you that it's that it's a calendar file. That's all. The date is over here. Let me on the left side, you see this little tiny icons. They just tell you it's a little preview of what it is. And in her case, all of these tell her this is a file from her calendar, which I need to ask you, how did you get those? But oh, look at that. They say they're from 1970. And then over here, at some point, I'm surprised that they are downloads. Do you do things, all your date added? For everything says 1970. Can you scroll to see if you have some other dates? Scroll up and down. You have 550. Do we have any other dates or do you have everything says it's 1970? Keep going, keep going. You have 554, so you're gonna have to scroll quite a bit. I have a feeling that this is, did you just transfer stuff from another computer?
Yeah,
So this is probably all old stuff from the downloads of your other computer. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I need to get to, do you know that you can grab this and drag it all the way up in a hurry to get to the new stuff? Over here, when you're scrolling up, keep going. Now, if you stop for a minute, over there you had some evaluation reviews. How old do you think those really are? Like minutes old or days old? Scroll downwards again. You just had because you might remember what those are. They were titled evaluation reviews. Memory wise, it's hard to know what that file might be, but if it's okay, I was just asking you if you have a memory of when these files might be from. Keep going down, 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 backwards. See, evaluation. Does this sound aloe vera lotion? Does this ring any bell? What these might be? Pain levels review.
they're continuing education units, but the
Months ago.
the journal.
Yeah, but what I'm asking you, do you have any idea since when these are in your computer? Do you have a memory of when they came in ish? 3 months
No.
ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago.
Some could have been from a year ago, some
Okay.
could have been longer.
Okay. And do you have when did you set up your new computer?
Probably in January of this year.
So what's happened is that however the transfer happened from your old computer to your computer, and that Carol, since you said you have stuff from 1960, some of the stuff that came over from your old computer into your downloads has these bizarre dates. See how it says 8/16/1970, which is what
No, where does it say that?
right here. Oh, maybe you have Zoom stuff in the way and you're not seeing it. But here it says the name, then it says size. Move it to the left. So go over here, put your mouse, not there, not there. You have to be in the title. Yeah, and move it all the way to the left. Yeah. Click and drag. See over here?
Oh, okay.
You have dates of all of these saying 19
Gotcha. Okay, well, I was wondering
8:05 p.m.
why I couldn't see the dates.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
So
you.
all of these, if you go scroll now, I'm trying to get you to scroll all the way to the very top to see if you have some newer ones. So go ahead and grab this little slider and all the way to the top. Okay. So you do have some new ones. Okay. And in fact, there you go. Perfect example, a billing statement. So someone who went and downloaded a statement. Okay. Now, oh, look at that, you guys. You downloaded it twice. So many times when people download things and they don't know where to find them, so they download them again, you might have, if you have anything that has the original name and that has the same name with a little one, that's a copy. So even if you need this statement and you're going to put it in your documents folder, you certainly don't need two. So for sure, you can go to the one that has that same number, but the number 1 on it, and you can select it and move to trash. So go ahead and do that to this one. Go up there to the top one, the one that's the duplicate. Yeah, right click. Okay, you clicked inside of it again. So now you're in this mode where you're changing the name. So click away, click on some neutral place again to get rid of that mode. Yeah, an inch. Okay. Just an inch away. There's enough. And now go back to it and do a right click. And it's better if you do it on the name. Okay. And now move to trash. Okay. And then over here, I see 2 JPEGs of the same number. Only one says parentheses 1. So right click and move to trash. And that's without even knowing what that is. Does that make sense? Just because you know exactly that it's a copy. Now, if you want to see what this is, you have to hit the space bar. So go ahead and hit the space bar. Space bar. It could not be opened. The file is the correct. I was going to say this one is 113. Okay, so say okay to that. See how it can't even see it? I was going to say, what's that? Doc 1 parentheses. File names don't really have parentheses unless you should never put a file number unless it's a copy. And so that's like, what is that? So right now, what this is saying is that this is a file that you won't be able to use. So unless you have any memory of what it is, which is always when you download something, you should go immediately to check it. Then that's basically as good as nothing. So you just right click and trash it. That's a corrupted file. I don't know. Move to the trash. Okay, now go to this JPEG right there. Hit your space bar. Hit space bar. We're not moving it to the trash yet. We don't know what it is. Hit the space bar. Okay, you're clicking again, and what you're doing, click away, click right underneath it, like half an inch away. Yeah. So see you guys whenever she clicks it 2 times, not a double click, but 2, she clicks it and then she clicks it again. She ends up brightening up the name, and that's something we're gonna do. I need to rename it, but this time we don't need to rename it. We just need to do a right click. So go to, put your mouse, okay. Put your mouse on the name. You're using the space. I want you to put it on the name, right click. Sorry, not right click. I apologize. This is where we're trying to figure out what it is. So, so there you double clicked. So you opened it. Double clicking is opening it. And maybe I just wanted to see what it was, which is the difference. If you double click, you open it. And you don't, and this is important, everyone listen to me, very importantly. Don't double click on things in your downloads folder. Why? Because viruses and bad stuff lands in your downloads folder. If you opened an email that was full of crud in it and you open the file, it'll be in your downloads folder, and you open that file, it could be bad stuff. So you want to only view it. How do you view it? Go to your keyboard and hit the space bar. You know, the long one? No, the space bar. Don't do a right click. Space bar. Space bar. You're like if you were writing and you hit the space. Okay, you're clicking again. Something is not working. I'm trying to see why your space bar is not working. You're right. Okay. So if you were writing the word, your name, Diane Self, between the E of Diane and the next of self, you would hit your space bar. If you look at your keyboard, the very, very long bar that's at the bottom of all your keys.
Oh.
That's the space bar. Okay. So now hit the space bar. There you go. This is not opening. Stay right there. Don't do anything. And I know the class is over, so I need to go. This is not opening. This is viewing it. In fact, if you were to decide you want it, see how it says open with it, you could then have to open it, which is what you had done before. Right now, you're just viewing it and you go, oh, I already returned that. I don't need this anymore. So you can trash it. Or, oh no, this is something I need to return tomorrow. So then you get to keep it. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yep.
This is a return code. So now hit the space bar again to bring it down.
Space bar.
Okay. So now that's what you're going to do. You're going to go to each one of these things and you hit the space bar and you're going to make a choice. Do I keep it? Did I already return this? Trash it. Right click, move to the trash. Do I need to return it this week? Then hang on to it. Does that make sense, you guys?
Thank you.
So right now, we're not going to do any more than that. We're not going to organize anything. We're just going to clear out documents, trash, desktop. What if you start looking at all this stuff in your desktop, you discover, I don't need that either. Hit the space bar. Why do I still have this on my desktop? It doesn't even need to go into my documents. It needs to be trashed. Okay, trash it. And class has been over for 2 minutes, so I want to make sure that everyone knows that if you need to go, you can go. I'll hang in there and answer Carol's questions for just a minute. But other than that, that's your homework from here to Thursday. Empty out the stuff you don't need, move it to the trash, empty out your trash, and move stuff to your documents if you need it. Then we're going to organize it. So you're going to empty out your downloads, you're going to empty out your trash, and as much as possible, you're going to move the stuff from your desktop to your documents. But if you still don't trust me on that one, we'll work on that on Thursday. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna. See you Thursday.
You're welcome. See you Thursday. And
Can I
Carol,
ask you a quick
Yes,
question?
Carol, can you share your screen so I can help you with the stuff that's in your documents folder that shouldn't be there? And I do need to have a break, so I need to,
Okay, I'll
Well,
ask you next.
yeah, I
Oh.
can,
no, I'm telling Barbara because she wanted
Oh.
another question and I'm going to see her this whole week, so I can help her later. But right now, I'm just going to help you because this is pretty urgent. Okay, can you,
oh, God, when I do that, it goes away.
yeah, it's that feature. Okay. So, I'm going to ask you to give me permission. I'm going to request remote control. You're going to see a request remote control on your screen. Can you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you might need to go to your system settings.
Oh, I have to confirm that I trust you first.
Okay, perfect. Now don't
Is that
move your
okay?
mouse. Yes, that's perfect. Now don't move your mouse
Okay.
at all. And let me see if I can do this. Sometimes you need more permissions from the, it used to be so easy to work on people's screens, and now.
Oh, crap. It looks like it goes to systems.
Exactly. Go there and you have to, again, click on that, say yes, like, click on the little button next to Zoom that allows me to do that. And then, yeah, there you go. And now you need to put in your computer password.
Um,
And then click on
Okay.
modify settings. Good. So now that should work. Don't move your mouse anymore at all.
Okay.
Hand off and let me see if it's letting me do it now. Yes, it's letting me do it. Okay, so this is me now. And let me see if I can help you a little bit.
Isn't it weird? All those names are in 1970. I was in Colorado.
Yeah, but no, that's what I just explained to Diane. That's the stuff that you just transferred from your other computer. So don't worry about it. It's just old stuff.
It wouldn't have, no, I didn't even have an over in that
No,
year.
no. When you just transferred your stuff to this computer,
Right.
it just gave it the date 1970 because it's in your downloads. And so don't that date, don't believe it. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Okay.
Just at this point, just ignore that date. Look at your.
Oh, go ahead. That's all right. Go ahead. I don't want to delay you any longer. That you need to.
So I'm gonna put it in order of date added. And at this point, in your case, you have 107 items. This could be from yesterday. It doesn't matter, but see how everything is dated 1970. That's just because of what happened this weekend when all your stuff got transferred. So for now, ignore the dates.
Okay.
When you download, stuff will hit. So in your case, just look at what they are, hit the space bar and see if you need it or not. Okay.
Okay.
Just so it's not you making any mistake. It's not realistic. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that these files didn't keep their dates. On the other hand, your stuff right
The
now,
documents thing is a mess.
yeah. So all your stuff is on your desktop. These are your files. Your files are on your desktop. I can see them right now.
Well, recent ones, not all of them.
Okay, so these things shouldn't be here. These pages, preview, keynote. No, okay, he already changed them. That's good to know. These need to be in your application. So you used to have worse stuff here. He already just resetting to the new computer helped. Let's see. This is 20. You go to your applications. I'm going to open a different window. And let me see if you have these, because if you have these already, then we'll get rid of them from here. Before you had system files here, that all got fixed. Okay, that's really good news. It got fixed. Meaning it got fixed when you updated your new computer. And so here I see Keynote.
I don't need all that.
Hold on. No, I'm not going to delete anything. So this is your new key, and this is your old Keynote. So this one can go away. So I'm just checking to make sure that these are all old things that you don't need. Numbers is here. Numbers is there. Pages is here. Okay, so these are all old. Pages is here. QuickTime text edit. It's all here. Okay, so all of these, every one of these can be trashed. So I'm going to right click and move to trash. Resetting your whole computer already reset this in such a way that you don't need any of that. Now you made a whole bunch of aliases. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of these. Okay, so now we have to take all of this that's on your desktop and we're going to put it on your later on your computer, but we're not going to do it. So we're going to organize everything by name. I know. That's my husband saying that I need to come. And that's good. Okay, so now you're ready to go. And okay, done. That's the stuff that was really bad got taken care of by your new restart. All the system settings that I said shouldn't be in your documents are gone. Okay, so you're good. Just work on all the stuff in your downloads. Get rid of the stuff you don't need, don't recognize. Okay, I'll see
Thank
you
you.
guys, some of you guys this afternoon and the rest of you guys on Thursday. Bye, Barbara. Bye, Kate. Bye, Carol.
Thank you.